Chapter 975. No. He's not my big brother anymore. Yi Juetian, don't have such a heartless big brother. His mother was on the brink of death, but he didn't care. Yihua, you're a coward, a coward. Yi Juetian roared in anger. When he thought of his mother's helpless appearance, his heart ached. Right now, the only one who could help his mother was his big brother. But big brother did not come out. He would rather hide in the palace and be a coward. Pa. A clear and melodious sound rang out from Yi Juetian's face. The sound wasn't very heavy, but it was very loud. Yi Juetian covered his face in disbelief. Even Qian Yuqing, who was standing to the side, was amazed. Yihua actually hit his younger brother? He had been slapped twice in one day, once by his father, and once by his big brother. Yi Juetian also became impulsive. Yihua, if you have the ability, come and slap me in front of me. What kind of man are you to hide behind? Pa. Yi Juetian suffered another slap to his face. However, Yihua's voice rang out in the air. It's not up to you to make irresponsible remarks when I do things. This voice. How could Qian Yuqing possibly forget that this is Yihua's voice? Yihua is finally willing to talk. However, Yihua's words enraged Yi Juetian once again. You're a heartless fellow. Pa. Yi Juetian suffered another slap to his face. After being lectured by his big brother once again, Yi Juetian suddenly started laughing loudly, as if he had gone mad. Big brother. Come on, beat me to death if you can. You ungrateful man. To think that my mother and sister-in-law prayed for you every day, only to receive such heartless treatment from you. I feel indignant for them. After he finished speaking, Yi Juetian waited for the slap to come, but it never came. Why aren't you fighting? Keep fighting. Let me tell you, Yihua, you owe mother too much. You won't be able to pay me back in this lifetime. Yihua snorted coldly. In this world there is nothing that I, the Supreme Overlord, cannot afford to pay back. That's good. Pay me back the rent. Can you afford it? Rent? When did I ever owe rent? You lived in mother's belly for 10 months. Isn't that considered rent? If you have the ability, then return it. Yi Juetian roared. The voice in the air fell silent. Little Tian, enough, don't say any more. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. Sister-in-law, do you think I want to say it? This was an unfilial son. You marrying Huang Yun is better than marrying him. Qian Yuqing's face turned cold. That's enough, little Tian. Hearing his sister-in-law's angry shout, Yi Juetian calmed down quite a bit. As for the sound in the air, it did not ring out anymore. Qian Yuqing and Yi Juetian just stood there without saying anything. As the sky gradually darkened, Qian Yuqing heaved a sigh of relief as if she had made a decision. Yehua, I have to go. Your mother is still waiting for me to go back and save her. Qian Yuqing felt helpless. Instead of waiting here, she might as well do something more practical. Yi Juetian nodded and did not say anything. Going back now was the best outcome. Waiting here was simply a waste of time. However, after waiting for a long time, Yihua still didn't give her any instructions. Qian Yuqing was very disappointed. She sighed lightly, and the two of them directly soared into the sky and disappeared. Right now, Yihua was sitting in the children's palace. He could sense that Qian Yuqing and Yi Juetian had left. Yi Juetian's words were still lingering in Yihua's mind. This kind of rent, I am indeed unable to afford it. Also, Qian Yuqing is going to marry some Huang Yin? What kind of situation is this? At this moment, light footsteps rang out. The person who came was precisely Qingye. Qingye could be seen sitting beside Yihua. Qingye did not say anything and just quietly accompanied Yihua. After a long time, Qingye said, I wonder how the children are doing right now? I really miss them. Yihua looked at the training platform outside of the palace. In the past, he would often see God Yi and Yi Lu exchanging their experiences in martial arts. Meanwhile, Ali and Yan would always accompany him and chat with him, so how could they not miss their children? That is impossible, after all, their children are my blood. They should be doing well. Yihua said faintly. Qingye stretched out her hand and held on to Yihua's hand, then said attentively, Yihua, we are both parents. To me, you and the children are my everything. I hope that the two of you are doing well." Hearing this, Yihua did not say anything. "Yihua, being a mother is really not easy. You should still remember when Yener was born. I almost died, but I still wanted to give birth to Yener. You should understand what I mean, right?" Qingye wanted to tell Yihua that for the sake of her child, a mother is willing to do anything. Yihua still did not utter a word. Qingye didn't want to continue persuading Yihua. After patting on the back of Yihua's hand, Qingye turned around and left. Yihua had already said all that he needed to say. Whether or not it would be of any use, it would depend on Yihua himself. After Qingye walked out of the palace, Donghuang Baiji, who was waiting outside, asked curiously, "How was it?" "I don't know. Why is this Yihua so stubborn? I have to give it to him," Donghuang Baiji said in a low voice. However, just as the two of them were ridiculing Yihua for being stubborn, they suddenly sensed an aura flying towards the sky. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji raised their heads and looked towards the night sky, and a gratified smile appeared on the corner of their mouths. "This is our man." This was a supreme being. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were not the only ones who saw it. All of Yihua's subordinates sensed it as well. All of them ran to the entrance of the palace and looked at the night sky. Afterward, they bowed down and shouted out, "His honor is mighty." His honor finally thought the same way. All of the subordinates were finally at ease. This is our boss. Not afraid of anything. Not only the subordinates, all of Wushu Empire's soldiers bowed down and shouted out, "Long live our emperor." The commoners didn't know what was going on, but they still bowed down and shouted out, "Long live our emperor." In the end, Yihua still chose to face the past. This time, Yihua didn't bring a single person with him to God's realm. Yihua was completely relaxed. He was going to scout out the path and make preparations for the future. God's realm, 1,000 residences. Qian Yuqing had already returned, and she had even changed into a set of clean clothes. As for Yi Juetian, he had already returned and directly took the spirit spring from his father's hands, because he had already brought Qian Yuqing back. "Yuqing, where have you been these few days? Your father has been worried to death about you. Look at the 9th prince, he has also been working hard for you." Qian Yuqing's father, Qian Yi, stood at the side and said earnestly. Huang Yun sat in front of Qian Yuqing, and his expression had eased up by quite a bit. In the end, it was still Yi Juetian who found out where Qian Yuqing was. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice, "I have made father and the 9th prince worried. Yuqing has been walking around Minghuang Mountain these few days." After hearing that, Huang Yun slightly wrinkled his brows. With a smile on his face, Qian Yi said, "Yuqing, if you are going to Minghuang Mountain, you have to call the 9th prince as well." "Father, Yuqing wants to be alone for a while." Chapter 976. Hearing that her daughter was still so stubborn, Qian Yi turned around and looked at Huang Yun, feeling a bit embarrassed. Huang Yun was a bit angry. "That day, I invited you to Minghuang Mountain, but you didn't go, and I went alone. Could it be that you don't want to be with me that much?" "Uncle Qian, actually Yuqing and I have discussed it. We plan to get married soon, and father has agreed," Huang Yun said. He couldn't wait any longer. He felt like he was going to lose her. Hearing Huang Yun's words, Qian Yi was delighted. This was exactly what she wanted. Her daughter and Yi family's Yihua were both in name only. No, they didn't even have a name. After all, they left without completing the wedding. Huang Yun's talent was not any weaker than Yihua's, and it was even stronger. The main point was that he was from the royal family, and he might even become the emperor in the future. Her daughter would become the noblest woman in the god's realm, and she was her father. Qian family would be immortal. That's great, this is Yuqing's fortune, Qian Yi said happily, then looked at her daughter. Qian Yuqing knew that this would happen. Her disappearance made Huang Yun realize that if he didn't keep her by his side, it might happen a second or third time. "If I don't agree, what will happen?" "Offending the royal family would definitely happen, but the main point is who will give me the divine spring. If the royal family doesn't give me the divine spring, wouldn't Yihua's mother be waiting for death? What if I agree? Qian family will become the #1 family in Lingdu. Yihua's mother will continue to live. My happiness? Compared to Yihua's mother, it's nothing. Being able to help Yi Hua with something is also a type of happiness. Yiqing? Yiqing? Qianyi called out softly. She was also signaling him with her eyes. At this critical juncture, he should not throw a tantrum. For the sake of our family, you must marry. Qian Yuqing knew what her father meant. She looked at Huang Yun and thought of Yi Hua. If Yi Hua came back with her, she would be able to reject him, but Yi Hua didn't come back. So all her assumptions were useless. Give me a few more days to consider. Qian Yuqing said softly, still holding a bit of hope. Qianyi froze for a moment, then looked at Huang Yun and smiled. This girl is a bit embarrassed. Ninth Prince, please forgive her. Is 3 days enough? Huang Yun ignored Qian Yi and asked Qian Yuqing. All right. Qian Yuqing agreed to Yi Hua's words. If Yi Hua doesn't come within these 3 days, then I won't be able to do anything about it. In this spirit capital, his strength was still too weak. He could not withstand the massive royal family. When Huang Yun heard this, he was quite satisfied. He stood up and said, Yuqing, rest early. I'll come back in 3 days for your reply. Qian Yuqing nodded. Seeing her daughter nod, Qianyi was relieved. Ninth Prince, let me see you off. As Qian Yuqing watched Huang Yun leave, she heaved a sigh of relief and stood up to return to her room. Yuqing, wait. Qianyi shouted as she ran over after sending off the royal cloud. Father, is there anything else? Qian Yuqing leaned forward and asked. Qianyi sighed. Yuqing, I know that you don't like Huang Yun, but right now the opportunity is right in front of our Qian family. In the past, when you didn't want to marry into the royal family, Father allowed you. And when you wanted to marry Yi Hua, Father also allowed you. But this time, can you listen to Father? Yi Hua is already in the past. You should look forward and accept a new relationship. Hearing her father's words, Qian Yuqing knew that her father doted on her. And Yuqing understands. This is how father's good daughter should be. Go and rest well, then prepare to become a bride. Qianyi was very happy. Hearing her daughter's tone, she more or less knew that there was a chance. Seems like going out this time is pretty good. It seems like she has thought through a lot of things. I'm just a little curious. Just where did my daughter go? Why did she suddenly think things through? At Yi family. Yi Juetian sat in his mother's room and was currently dripping a drop of spirit spring water. He seemed to be very careful. After all, an extra drop would be a waste. However, Li Jing didn't put it in her heart at all. Little Tian, is Yi Hua still not willing to come back? Yi Juetian pursed his lips, then dripped a drop of green spirit spring water into a bowl of clear water. The entire bowl of clear water instantly turned into a green liquid that emitted a strange fragrance. The members of the royal family weren't able to enjoy this spirit spring water every day, but Li Jing was getting a drop of it every day, and it had been the same for thousands of years. It was simply even more extravagant than the royal family, but it couldn't be helped. This was a life-saving medicine. Mother, big brother hasn't thought things through. In order to not let his mother be sad, Yi Juetian still tactfully said, how could Li Jing not be able to tell that Yi Hua isn't willing to come back this time? Seems like Yi Hua is determined not to come back. How about I go down and take a look at Yi Hua? Li Jing said lightly. Mother, your body isn't able to withstand the teleportation at all. Yi Juetian said gravely with a trace of blame. Do you really want to see Big Brother that much? But Big Brother doesn't even put you in his heart at all. Lu Jing naturally knew, and she let out a deep breath. Mother, drink the medicine first. Yi Juetian said lightly. Lu Jing nodded her head, then narrowed her eyes and drank the bowl of medicine. After drinking the bowl of medicine, Lu Jing's entire complexion seemed to have become brand new. However, this kind of effect could only last for a day. Every time Lu Jing stopped, it would cause harm. Mother, you rest well. I will take care of Big Brother. All right, little Tian, you rest early too. Yi Juetian cupped his hands, then bid farewell to his mother, and casually closed the door. After walking out of his mother's courtyard, Yi Juetian stopped his footsteps. What are you two doing? Yi Juetian asked gravely. Two figures could be seen walking out from the darkness. Number 6, third brother invites you over. The one who spoke was number 5, Yi Zhe, and the one who was standing at the side with a smile was number 4, Yi Liangkai. Number 4, Yi Liangkai, and number 5 Yi Zhe had the same mother, and number 3 Yi Chun, and number 2 Yi Yuanqing had the same mother. However, number 2 Yi Yuanqing was a woman. Yi Shan only had these 3 wives, yet he gave birth to 5 handsome men, causing others to be envious of him. After all, the gods' realm valued men more than women, with the exception of women who were good-looking. It is already so late, why is third brother looking for me? Yi Juetian asked cautiously. Number 6, you will know once you go over. Yi Liangkai said faintly, a smile still on his face. However, those who were familiar with him all knew that this smile seemed to be fixed. No matter what he said, that smile would always be squinted into a slit, and the corners of his mouth would always be curved upwards. Yi Juetian didn't feel very good, but if number 5 and number 4 came together, he wouldn't be a match for them. Alright. Yi Juetian chose to be wise and not fight with them. Even if he fought with them, he wouldn't be a match for them. Chapter 977. The 3 brothers directly walked out of the Yi clan. Yi Juetian became even more curious. Where exactly were they going? He had even left Spirit Capital. Old 6, don't worry. We're brothers. I won't go so far as to kill you, Yi Liangkai said calmly. Under the moonlight, the smile on his face looked very ghostly. Soon, the 3 brothers arrived at a dilapidated house. A bonfire was lit inside, outlining 2 shadows. It seemed that there was someone else besides the 3rd brother. Yi Juetian had a grave expression on his face as he walked into the dilapidated house. Of course, he recognized Yi Chen's back. This was another person. He didn't expect it to be the 9th prince. Imperial Cloud. Why was he with 3rd brother? 9th prince, 3rd brother, 6th brother is here. Yi Zhe cupped his hands and said solemnly. Then he and Yi Liangkai stood at the door. Yi Juetian's face darkened as he glanced behind him. It was obvious that he was preventing him from running away. 9th prince, 3rd brother, what's the matter so late at night? Yi Juetian cupped his hands and asked. No matter what, these 2 people were of high seniority. He still had to put on an act. Huang Yun and Yi Chen turned around. Huang Yun didn't say anything, but Yi Chen asked in a deep voice, 6th brother, where did you find Qian Yuqing's disappearance? Minghuang Mountain. Yi Juetian had already gotten a confession from Qian Yuqing. Minghuang Mountain was a pretty good excuse. Huang Yun's expression changed. Yi Chen seemed to have sensed it. He asked again, 6th brother. The 9th prince was here. Don't lie. 3rd brother, I really didn't lie. I found Qian Yuqing in Minghuang Mountain. Of course, Yi Juetian had to stick to his story. He couldn't let it slip. Yi Chen's expression turned cold. He shouted, 6th brother. You're still not being honest. The 9th prince's men had already searched the entire Phoenix Cry Mountain. There's no sign of Qian Yuqing. Yi Chen was right. Huang Yun knew that Qian Yuqing liked to go to Minghuang Mountain. He also knew why. That was because of the man in the past. Therefore, they didn't let Minghuang Mountain off this time. However, they couldn't find Qian Yuqing at all. He didn't want to ask, but he felt that Qian Yuqing had changed a lot since she came back. She even told such a lie to deceive him. Then where did he go? Huang Yun was very curious. Where did he go? However, Yi Juetian definitely knew about this. It seemed like this place was very well hidden. After hearing this, Yi Juetian's expression didn't change. He continued to say, 9th prince, Qian Yuqing was indeed found by me on Minghuang Mountain. Yi Chen was puzzled. Why are you not telling the truth? Don't you know that our Yi clan is relying on the 9th prince? Why must he be so stubborn? I've already said that someone has searched everywhere. Huang Yun asked in a low voice. Yi Juetian, Qian Yuqing is my fiancée. I want to know where she has been these few days. You should be able to understand, right? It was a warning. Of course, Yi Chen and the others could tell as well. 6th brother. Answer the 9th prince's question honestly. Yi Chen also warned. Don't lie anymore. This is not a good thing for either of us. With just a word from the 9th prince, we can take on important positions, and even father can be reinstated. Although Yi Hua had beaten up Yi Juetian, in Yi Juetian's heart, Big Brother was still Big Brother, And it was normal for Big Brother to teach him a lesson. Besides, Big Brother also lost his memory. Their brotherhood would not change. Third brother, I didn't lie. Yi Juetian was still certain. However, in Huang Yun's heart, the more Yi Juetian said this, the more suspicion he had in his heart. Because if Yi Juetian wasn't willing to say it, then it was definitely because he couldn't say it. He couldn't say it. Yi Chun, your little brother, come and make him speak. Huang Yun said faintly. I must find out today. Where did Qian Yuqing go? She even had to come up with a lie. Can Yi Chun reject? He understood that he couldn't reject. Sixth brother, I will give you one last chance, speak. Yi Chun questioned in a low voice, and that purple rope appeared in his hand once more. Seems like an Asian binding is going to be used. Yi Juetian was a man with backbone. Big Brother's tracks definitely cannot be exposed. If not, Big Brother will definitely be in danger. It is at Minghuang Mountain. Yi Zhe could be seen swinging his hand, and the purple rope tied Yi Juetian up. As expected of an Asian binding, Yi Juetian was tied up tightly. Yi Juetian didn't resist, because he couldn't resist at all. He didn't have any chance of winning. Third brother, aren't you afraid of the family's law by doing this? Yi Juetian questioned. Brothers killing each other was a great taboo. Yi Chun said faintly. If I said that this was tacitly agreed by father, would you believe me? I believe you, of course I believe you. Yi Juetian smiled, but this smile was a little desolate. Right now, the Yi family seemed to be controlled by this Huang Yun. Whatever he wanted the Yi family to do, the Yi family would do. Yi Chun looked at his two little brothers. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhe walked over, and a red whip condensed in their hands. This was simply an Asian binding and whip combination. However, this wasn't a normal whip. After all, the toughness of a supreme being's body was incomparable. This was a whip that could whip souls, and it was a little similar to Qin Ye's weapon. The only difference was that this whip was a weaker version. Even if it wasn't good to use, it could still make Yi Juetian suffer. Yi Juetian felt grief in his heart. For an outsider, he actually beat his brother. The Yi family was just like this, simply a trash family. If it wasn't for his mother, he would have left home long ago. He truly didn't want to stay here for even a second longer. Yi Juetian, speak, and you won't need to be whipped. Yi Zhe shouted out. Of course, he didn't want to whip Yi Juetian, but he had no choice, as this concerned Yi family's future. Yi Juetian said faintly, I already told you, I found it at Minghuang Mountain. Pa. The whip that was emitting a red radiance fiercely lashed onto Yi Juetian's back, and pa sounds rang out. After being lashed like this, Yi Juetian felt that he couldn't even stand stably anymore. Pa. Yi Liangkai also lashed out, and this caused Yi Juetian's eyes to roll back. He felt that his soul was about to shatter. Yi Chun asked gravely, Old Six, why do you have to be so stubborn? What's wrong with speaking? If you have the ability, then kill me. Don't talk so much. Yi Juetian shouted out. You bunch of naive people. Am I Yi Juetian, the kind of person who would betray my brothers? Huang Yun took in a deep breath. Yi Juetian, why are you doing this? Those who go against me, Huang Yun, will not have a good ending. Humph, those who go against me, Yi Juetian, will not have a good ending either. Huang Yun's gaze turned cold. Pa. Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai, who were standing behind Yi Juetian, started lashing crazily at Yi Juetian. However, their brows were tightly locked, and they would occasionally look towards Yi Chun. They seemed to be asking if this should be enough, right? However, at this moment, Yi Juetian had already fallen onto the ground, and cold sweat could be seen on his forehead. His complexion was also exceptionally pale, and it was clear that his soul had suffered serious injuries. End of this chapter. Chapter 978. But even so, Yi Juetian still didn't say anything. This is like Big Brother torturing me thousands of times. I feel like my first love for Big Brother. Enough, Yi Chun said sullenly. If they continued fighting, something bad would happen. They could not continue fighting. Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai heaved a sigh of relief. They kept their red whips and stood to the side. Yi Chun cupped his hands towards Huang Yun and said, Ninth Prince, it seems like there is some misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Huang Yun asked indifferently, his eyes locked onto Yi Chen. Yi Chen lowered his head slightly, and didn't dare to touch him. He couldn't afford to offend Huang Yun. Huang Yun looked at Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, and asked again, "Where has my fiancée been these few days? What has she been doing?" "At Minghuang Mountain," Yi Juetian said softly. Huang Yun's aura instantly changed. His fiancée had disappeared for 3 days. This made him very unhappy. She even lied to him that she was at Minghuang Mountain. This was like adding oil to the fire. It was like he had been cuckolded. He liked Qian Yuqing so much, but what about her? She didn't even tell him what she was doing. She even used such a method to lie. Huang Yun was a rational person, but he couldn't do anything about Qian Yuqing. Who knew who she was fooling around with these few days? A sword condensed in Huang Yun's hand. This was Huang Yun's sword, a primordial divine artifact, Sun Moon divine aura. As Huang Yun's sword, it was definitely not ordinary. It wasn't any weaker than the ones that Yi Hua had. The only difference was the number. Yi Hua had many, but Huang Yun only had one. Sun Moon divine aura was a little weird. On the sword, one side gave off a sun-like light while the other side was dimmer. This was probably the meaning of the sun and moon. However, this Sun Moon divine aura felt like it was breathing. It was like a primordial divine artifact that had a life of its own. However, when this sword was taken out, Yi Chen and the others felt pressured. Fear appeared in their eyes. "Ninth Prince, let's persuade him again," Yi Chen quickly said. This ninth prince obviously wanted to kill old sixth. How could he do that? Teaching him a lesson was one thing, but killing him was another. "If you guys can't do it, I'll do it," Huang Yun said coldly. At this moment, it was as if he had turned into a devil, showing no mercy at all. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, slightly raised the corner of his mouth. "Go ahead and kill me. You will definitely regret it." Yi Chen's face sank. What kind of situation is this? Why is he still provoking the ninth prince like this? Do you not want to live anymore? Bang! Yi Chen kicked the ninth prince hard. Then he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Ninth prince, please calm down." "Humph. I'm afraid I won't be able to rest today." Huang Yun was indeed very angry, and could no longer hide this anger. His killing intent had already surged. Yi Chen looked at his 2 younger brothers. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhe did not know what to do either. That would offend Huang Yun. Offending Imperial Cloud, wasn't that the same as offending the entire Imperial family? Then what about the Yi family? However, at this moment, the few people in the room smelled a strange smell and frowned. What is this smell? Those who knew would definitely understand. It was the smell of cigarettes. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground, also smelled it. He seemed to have smelled it that day as well. Could it be Big Brother? Zizizi. The shabby door slowly opened, and creaking sounds rang out. The few people in the room looked towards the outside of the room, and their brows tightly knitted together. There was a black figure outside. There was also a spark that was emitting smoke, and the smell was coming out from the spark. The black figure outside seemed to have inhaled a mouthful of smoke, and an even bigger cloud of smoke floated into the room. Secondhand smoke was really harmful. At the very least, Yi Zhe coughed. "Who are you? Don't show off here," Yi Chen shouted out. Huang Yun locked onto this black figure tightly, and he actually didn't notice that someone was approaching them just now. This could only mean one thing: this person's strength. I'm afraid that this person's strength is above mine. Just who is this person? You all are finished. Yi Juetian, who was lying on the ground weakly, suddenly laughed. Everyone was very confused about Yi Juetian's words. The human figure gradually walked into the room. Yi Chen, Yi Liangkai, and Yi Zhe looked at the human figure that walked into the room, and their pupils gradually narrowed. Astonishment could be seen on their faces, and there was even a type of even deeper fear. Big brother. Yi Chen cried out involuntarily. He was astonished to the point that his words were even stuttering. Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai were the same as well. But they were astonished to the point that they even had trouble speaking. From the shape of their mouths, it seemed like they wanted to shout out. However, they were unable to shout out. How could this man in front of them possibly appear again? This is definitely not possible. When Huang Yin, who was at the side, heard Yi Chen calling out Big Brother, he immediately knew who this person was. I didn't expect that this person was the genius from 1,000 years ago. Yi family's Yi Hua. Didn't he die already? Why did he appear here again? Could it be the reason why Qian Yuqing disappeared for these few days was to go and meet him? From the looks of it, that is most likely the case. Damn it. Why didn't this man die? Wasn't he supposed to be dead? Yi Chen and the others rubbed their eyes. Even now, they still didn't dare to believe what was happening in front of them. Is this an illusion? Big Brother. Yi Juetian shouted out weakly. Yi Hua smoked his cigarette, then flicked away the cigarette ash and said faintly, Yi Juetian, you are really useless. Yi Juetian laughed bitterly. I am indeed useless, Big Brother is right. Yi Chen felt that this strange Big Brother of his seems to have changed. Although his expression was still cold, his movements were very frivolous and carried a bit of a mischievous aura. However, is this person really Big Brother or not? Yi Hua swept his gaze across the 4 people in front of him, and when he saw Huang Yin, his gaze stopped. Huang Yin also looked at Yi Hua. The 2 geniuses from 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years later started looking at each other. Yi Chen stood at the side and did not speak. It was clear that he had not digested this fact yet. Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai were the same as well. Suddenly, a king's might exploded out from Huang Yin's body, and the entire tattered house was instantly blown flat. Following that, the bonfire on the ground was also blown away. Yi Hua silently looked at Huang Yin. He wasn't interested in this little guy, but towards Yi Juetian, who was on the ground. He was interested in this little guy. Who hit you? Yi Hua asked faintly. Damn it, it feels great to have Big Brother in charge. You all have angered Big Brother, go and eat shit. Big Brother, it was them. Yi Hua asked faintly. Why didn't you retaliate? I couldn't win against them. So weak. Yi Juetian was very speechless. Big Brother, don't attack me anymore. Quickly help my little brother vent his anger. You all bullied my little brother. Looks like I have to properly settle the scores for you all. Yi Hua's tone became gloomy, and his expression started to become unhappy. It is fine for this little brother of his to be taught a lesson by me, his own big brother, but as for the others, who gave you all the guts to do so? Oh my God! Yi Chen and the other 2 still hadn't come back to their senses. Right now they really couldn't understand what was going on. End of this chapter. Chapter 979. A long whip suddenly condensed in Yi Hua's hand, and the whip was emitting black smoke. With just a glance, one could tell that Yi Hua's products were not ordinary goods. This whip was different from the one he had just used. It was thicker, longer, and black. Just like a snake, it seemed to have scales. Big Brother, what are you doing? Yi Chen finally recovered his wits. While smoking the cigarette, Yi Hua said, Can't you see it? The black whip in Yi Hua's hand didn't even need to be swung. It directly went straight towards Yi Chen, lashing towards Yi Chen. Bang! Caught off guard, Yi Chen was instantly knocked into the air. He did not know where he flew to. This would definitely feel good. Yi Hua looked towards Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai, who were at the side. In Yi Zhe's eyes, his older brother would never do something like this. The long black whip swept forward with a vicious aura. Bang! Yi Zhe and Yi Liangkai did not resist at all, and were both sent flying. Are you satisfied? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yi Juetian endured the pain and stood up. Big Brother, you're the best. Yi Hua took a fierce look at Yi Juetian, and the latter immediately hid behind Yi Hua's back. Yi Hua felt that this was just like how it was in the past. When I create trouble outside, my big brother would come and clean up after me. And after that, my big brother would give me a good beating. Yi family's young master Yi Hua. Seeing you today, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Huang Yin said solemnly. I heard from people in the past that back then, Yi Hua would definitely not hit his own brothers. However, today, the moment he attacked, he sent 3 people flying. Yi Hua flicked away the cigarette, but that was in his hand, and the slight sparks drew an arc in the air, appearing very bright in the dark night. Who do you think you are, to dare to speak in front of me? Yi Hua said indifferently. Yi Juetian, who was standing behind Yi Hua, was startled. F***ck. Big brother is so awesome. He was even more awesome than he was in the past. He directly went up to them. Huang Yun clenched the sun-moon divine aura in his hand tightly, and the originally unstable aura gradually retracted. If they were to fight now, it would definitely attract attention. Before they understood the situation, they couldn't be so rash. Huang Yun was a very scheming and steady person. Aside from being a little impulsive earlier, he was much calmer now. This matter had to be considered at length. Yu Yihua is just a past tense. He's nothing now. As the 9th prince of Spirit Capital, he had his pride. He had already been scolded, so how could he escape? That was impossible. Past tense? Some things can't be changed, just like Qian Yuqing. What did you say? Huang Yun questioned coldly. Yihua said faintly. Didn't you want to know where Qian Yuqing has been these few days? Then I'll be merciful and tell you that we've been making up for all these years of separation these past 3 days. I've enjoyed every inch of her skin, and she's enjoyed my man's charm. You. The divine aura of sun and moon in Huang Yun's hand trembled slightly. It seemed to have sensed its master's anger, and the entire sword began to become irritable. Yi Juetian, who was standing at the back, was also speechless. You rejected sister-in-law outside the door, and in the end, you said that you and sister-in-law were enjoying sex together. If sister-in-law knew about this, she would definitely blame you, big brother. It's mine, it will always be mine. Past tense? How can your current style compare to mine? Yihua shouted out lightly, and the black whip in his hand struck towards Huang Yun. Huang Yun did not dare to be careless. The divine breath of sun and moon in his hand directly pierced out. Boom! The 2 ancient artifacts immediately erupted with a huge amount of energy, and all of the trees in the surroundings instantly collapsed. The entire mountaintop was razed to the ground, and loud noises rang out from the ground. Even Lingdu could feel the noises coming from the ground. At Qian's house, Qian Yuqing hadn't slept for a long time. Suddenly, she sensed a powerful aura coming over. The teacups on the table began to make noises, and even the ground began to tremble. What happened outside? Qian Yuqing wasn't the only one who sensed it. A lot of big figures in Lingdu also sensed it. This should be the damage caused by the 2 ancient artifacts. However, in the surroundings of Lingdu, who would dare to use ancient artifacts? This was the crime of great disrespect. Countless black figures scuttled out from Lingdu and arrived at the location of the incident. However, other than a pile of ruins, they didn't discover anything else. Inside Lingdu, Yihua was smoking with a cigarette in his mouth, and his expression seemed to be a bit unhappy. Yihua originally didn't want to let Huang Yun off, but Yi Juetian said that doing so would attract a lot of people over. Yihua had no choice but to leave the scene, and that Huang Yun seemed to be aware of this as well. Thus he left as well. As for his 3 brothers, who knew where they had run off to long ago. Big brother, why did you suddenly come? Yi Juetian's injuries had just been taken care of by Yihua, so it wasn't a big deal at all. I was just bored. Yihua said indifferently. He wanted face to. Yi Juetian grabbed onto Yihua's shoulder, causing Yihua's brows to wrinkle. To actually dare to grab onto my shoulder. If not for the fact that you are my blood-related younger brother, I would have chopped off your hand. Big brother, do you have any plans for coming back this time? Are you going to acknowledge your ancestors and return to the clan, then marry big sister-in-law? Yi Juetian asked curiously. He felt that Yi family would only be able to flourish in his big brother's hands. Yihua said indifferently, do you think that I am that kind of boring person? Then, big brother, what do you plan to do? Just take a look. Yihua said gravely. The main reason why he came back was to take a look at his birth mother. He didn't have any other intentions. Yi Juetian's eyes lit up. Big brother evidently came back to take a look at mother. This is a good thing. Big brother, then what about big sister-in-law? Not interested. Yihua said indifferently. He didn't really like Qian Yuqing. But big brother, you just destroyed sister-in-law's innocence. How do you expect sister-in-law to go out and meet people in the future? Yi Juetian teased. He had heard what his big brother had said just now. Huang Yun was going crazy from anger. Yihua did not say anything. Just now he was merely trying to anger Huang Yin, and he did not think too much about it. Actually, sister-in-law is a good woman. Big brother, don't make her angry. She has done too much for mother. For mother, you have to marry her. You don't have to worry about me. Sigh. Yi Juetian sighed deeply. But big brother, you've offended Imperial Cloud this time, which is equivalent to offending the entire Imperial family. If you leave just like that, it will be even more difficult for mother and I to maintain our foothold, and also sister-in-law. Just a small matter. Yi Hua said faintly. Big brother, you're awesome. If you have the ability, then deal with it before you leave. Yi Hua snorted coldly, then continued smoking his cigarette, and did not say anything. Soon the two arrived at Yi family's door. The guard who was standing guard outside the door rubbed his eyes. He didn't drink tonight, so why were there two Yi Juetians? Yi Hua and Yi Juetian slowly walked up the stairs. At this moment, the guard was able to see clearly. This expression. How is this possible? This is impossible. How is it possible for Yi family's young master to still be alive? Bang. Right at this moment, the door was pushed open. Yi Shan could be seen walking out with a sunken face, and behind him were Yi Chun, Yi Liangkai, and Yi Zhe. End of this chapter. Chapter 980. Yi Hua looked at the man who walked out of the room, and discovered that this man looked a bit similar to me. However, that's all there is to it. Compared to me, this man is simply not on the same level. From Yi Juetian's words, Yi Hua could tell that this father of his seemed to not treat his mother well. Subconsciously, Yi Hua did not have a good impression of Yi Hua, and there was even enmity towards Yi Hua. Yi Shan looked at the man in front of him with a complicated gaze. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Yi Hua was actually still alive, and he even came back. This is too fake. When they heard Old Third's words, they even thought that they had gone mad or were seeing things. Yi Hua had already been dead for 1,000 years. How could he still be alive? But who was this person in front of him? He is my eldest son, Yi Hua. Who are you? Yi Shan asked in a deep voice. He was probably a liar. What a swindler. Yi Hua looked at the man in front of him, and remained silent. Yi Juetian walked forward and said respectfully, Father, this is big brother Yi Hua. Did I ask you? Yi Shan shouted out in a low voice and stared fixedly at Yi Hua. Yi Juetian paused for a moment, then retreated to the side. Yi Hua looked on silently and continued to not speak. I'll ask you again. Who are you? Yi Shan's aura could not help but leak out a little, and the air was immediately surrounded by a murderous aura. Yi Hua finally spoke. However, he asked Yi Juetian, Who is this old man? This was obviously done on purpose. After all, Yi Juetian had just called him father. Wasn't this obvious? However, towards this father of his, Yi Hua did not have a single bit of good impression. Back then, Yi Juetian had already said that the reason why this heartless father of his took away his mother's medicine was to find Qian Yuqing. This kind of scum is actually worthy of being my father? If this matter were to spread out, wouldn't I become a laughing stock? Big brother. Yi Juetian shouted out, not understanding what his big brother meant. Was he going to go against the heavens and the earth? Yi Shan was finally unable to endure it any longer. Taking a step forward, a powerful aura was emitted out from Yi Shan's body, causing Yi Hua's robe to flutter crazily. Fighting was forbidden in Spirit Capital. After all, they were all experts. If they were to fight, it would be a huge loss. Yi Shan raised his hand and brought down a biting cold aura. Is he trying to slap Yi Hua's face? Or is he trying to send Yi Hua flying? Yi Hua's gaze turned cold. What guts? How dare you be so impudent in front of me? The main body was only here to represent his previous life. From the moment his original body turned into a skeleton, the previous Yi Hua was already dead. The current Yi Hua was just an undead. It was a supreme being. How could a small fry like you fight him? Yi Shan's palm didn't land on Yi Hua's face, it stopped in the air. Yi Hua didn't make a move to stop Yi Shan's palm, he just stood there motionlessly. At this moment, the surrounding people were all stunned. What was going on? Did something happen? How dare you? Yi Hua said coldly. Yi Shan felt as if his hand was being controlled by something, unable to move at all. Just as Yi Shan was feeling puzzled, a huge force struck him and sent him flying into the Yi clan. Boom boom boom. From a bird's eye view, the Yi family's building seemed to have been dug by someone. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Yi Chen was stunned as well. Yi Liangkai was stunned. Yizha was dumbfounded. As soon as this big brother came back, he beat up his father. Moreover, it was so brutal. The family guards who were standing at the side didn't know what to do. From a professional point of view, such a thing should have happened, but from a rational point of view, they had no chance of winning. After all, even Yi family's family head was sent flying. Even if they went up, they would also be sent flying. Furthermore, this was Yi family's eldest son. It wouldn't be good to beat him up, right? It was only right and proper for the son to beat the father. After all, it was also right and proper for the father to beat the son. Father. Yi Chen came back to his senses and hurriedly ran back. Yi Liangkai and Yizha took a deep look at Yi Hua. They discovered that their big brother had changed. He seemed to have become unreasonable, and he would start fighting with just a single word of disagreement. How could it be like this in the past? It was always others bullying Big Brother, and back then Big Brother didn't pay attention to them and didn't beat them up. But look at the current situation. Not only did he scold the ninth prince, he even beat up his father. Yi Juetian didn't know what to say anymore. Big Brother beat up father the moment he came back. This is too scary. Big Brother, you have to wipe your butt clean before you can go back. Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Right now, Big Brother is offending more and more people, and in the future, I'm afraid that he will offend even more people. What is there to be afraid of? Yi Hua said indifferently and stepped into Yi family. With this step, it had been 1,000 years, and the last time they met was when they got married. At that time, the entire Yi family was still filled with joy. However, looking at the current situation, there was no such atmosphere, and some of the buildings had even collapsed. When Yi Hua and Yi Juetian walked into Yi family, a group of cavalries arrived at the entrance. All of them were wearing black masks, and they looked very scary. What's going on inside? The leader asked gravely. The family guard cupped his hands and said respectfully, Lord Guard, Yi family's patriarch is currently teaching his son a lesson, and the commotion is a bit big. This Lord Guard didn't think too much and said gravely, if you want to cause a commotion, go outside the city. Yes, 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 I will report. The family guard said respectfully without any temper. However, it wasn't like this in the past. No matter who it was, when they arrived at the Yi family's entrance, they would have to be respectful. These were all bestowed by Yi Hua back then, causing Yi family's reputation to spread throughout the entire God's realm. However, following Yi Hua's fall, this status slowly disappeared as well. Very quickly, this group of cavalries left, and they didn't ask too many questions. It could be that the long period of stability made them feel that nothing would happen, and comfort caused them to let down their guard. Very quickly, Yi Chen found his father who was within the ruins. Right now, Yi Shan's expression was a bit sluggish, as if he didn't dare to believe what was happening before his eyes. He, the patriarch of Yi family, was actually directly sent flying by someone, and it was such a miserable matter. This was something that had never happened before. The main point was that it was his own son. No, it was still uncertain whether or not it was his son. This evil creature, today, I will place righteousness before family. Yi Shan's anger had already reached the peak, and he didn't care about anything else as he released his aura and flew towards Lu Jing's courtyard. Because he knew what his eldest son had come back for. Yi Chen and the others didn't know what to say. They were unable to fathom or think. Is this really Big Brother or not? To actually beat up even his own father, this is so terrifying. Yi Hua arrived at the courtyard very early. Yi Juetian was very happy. Big Brother finally came to see Mother. This is a good thing, a very good thing. Standing at the entrance, Yi Hua was a bit nervous, not knowing what to say next. Yi Juetian stood at the side, waiting nervously. However, inside the house, Lu Jing tightly clasped her hands together. That feeling. End of this chapter. Chapter 981. Lu Jing looked towards the shadow at the doorway. Is my Yi Hua back? It must be, it must be. That was great. That's great. Big brother. Yi Juetian called out softly. Yi Hua let out a breath and placed both of his hands on the door. However, at this moment, a vicious aura appeared in the air. Yi Hua's face sunk, and he casually swung his arm. Bang! Brilliant colors bloomed in the pitch-black night sky. It also brought with it a powerful pressure that shook spirit capital once again. Yi Juetian stared blankly at the fireworks in the sky. It felt like something big was about to happen. For such a situation to occur in Lingdu, he would definitely be arrested. Along with the loud noise, many people felt it. They walked out of their homes and looked in the direction of the Yi family. He thought to himself, is the Yi family crazy? How dare they fight in Lingdu? Aren't they afraid of the emperor's punishment? Just as he finished thinking, an even more savage aura burst forth. This caused everyone to be dumbstruck. Could something have happened to the Yi clan? Otherwise, why would the Yi family patriarch risk his life like this? Qian Yuqing also looked in the direction of the Yi clan and frowned. What had happened to the Yi clan for them to cause such a huge commotion? Tonight was not peaceful at all. However, in the palace of Lingdu, this was the emperor's bedroom. At this time, the emperor had already fallen asleep, and the one sleeping beside him was the concubine who was serving him tonight. There was still a blush on her pretty face, and it seemed that she was satisfied. However, two powerful auras roused the emperor. The emperor opened his majestic eyes and they were captivating. Just this aura alone was enough to tell that this person was not ordinary. What an awesome person! Come, the emperor called out in a low voice. Her ladyship, who was sleeping on the side, was startled awake. She covered her chest with the bedding. Your Majesty, what happened? The emperor didn't say anything. He stood up. The muscles on his body were well proportioned. They weren't explosive and looked very comfortable. Soon, an imperial guard pushed open the door and entered, kneeling outside the curtain. This subordinate kowtows in salute to your Majesty. Long live the emperor. What's going on outside? Your Majesty, two strong auras have appeared in the Yi clan. The emperor was very angry at this moment. He muttered in a low voice. What's going on tonight? Can't you let me sleep? Is this Yi Shan tired of living? Your Majesty, please quell your anger. Let me go and check the situation. The emperor frowned. Go. Yes. Your Majesty, the young concubine on the bed called out sweetly. This actually made the emperor's mood a little better. The emperor slowly sat by the side of the bed. The beautiful concubine was like a snake, coiling around the emperor, her hands caressing his firm chest. Emperor, this concubine will make you comfortable. The emperor patted the young concubine's head. My beloved concubine knows me best. This was the master of spirit capital, Huang Feidi. In this god's realm, he was the emperor. And just now it was the imperial guard. Sky-bearing. To be able to become the emperor's personal guard, one could only imagine his strength. The sky-bearing empire received the emperor's decree and flew towards the Yi family with the three of them. It had to be said that the sky-bearing empire was rather dashing. His golden armor even reflected light in the night sky. It was as though he was telling everyone that he, the imperial bodyguard, was here. If you were to fight, you definitely shouldn't wear golden armor, as it would attract aggro because it was too glaring. For such a show-off, it was best to kill him directly. Right now, outside the courtyard, Yi Hua and Yi Shan were still confronting each other. The entire courtyard was in a mess. The surrounding walls had all collapsed, while the room behind Yi Hua was safe and sound. Of course, it was protected by Yi Hua. Yi Shan stared fixedly at Yi Hua. In his heart, he was still shocked. This person was actually able to block two of my attacks, and it seems to be so easy for him. Yi Juetian was a bit flabbergasted as well. In actuality, I don't know how strong Big Brother is right now, but looking at how Big Brother is acting right now, Big Brother seems to be very formidable, beating up Father to the point where Father doesn't even have the strength to retaliate. This is really venting my mother's anger, but now that I have beaten up Father, how am I going to deal with it in the future? This is truly a troublesome problem, and there will be people coming from the palace very soon. Tz. Suddenly, Yi Hua heard the sound of a door opening behind him. This caused Yi Hua's heartbeat to quicken. He was able to remain calm when facing Yishan, but when he heard that someone walked out from behind him, Yihua wasn't able to remain calm anymore. No matter how much of an undead Yihua was, he was still Lu Jing's son in the end. His skeleton was formed in Lu Jing's stomach, and this was an undeniable fact. Without Lu Jing, how would there be Yihua today? Of course, Yishan's sewing was also indispensable. Lu Jing looked at the back view in front of her, and her eyes immediately became moist. This is my Yihua, this back view, this body shape. It is exactly the same as back then. The only thing that has changed is his hairstyle. What a strange hairstyle. However, this is not the main point. This is my son. Yihua could feel the agitation in the heart of the woman behind him. This feeling is very strange, just like some of the scenes that I have seen before in the past. I killed someone else's son, and that mother screamed out and charged towards me without a care for her life. At that time, I felt that this woman must have gone mad, and running away should have been the correct choice. Yet she actually charged towards me without a care for her life. Back then, I didn't have any thoughts about that kind of feeling, but now, Yihua looked at his own mother walking in front of him and opening up her arms. At this moment, Yihua seemed to have understood a lot of things. Those mothers swore to protect their own sons with their lives. So this is what family love is. It is indeed different from love. Yishan, if you have any anger, come and vent it on me. Don't hurt my child. Right now, Lu Jing suddenly seemed as if she had changed into another person, and she looked extremely similar to those women that Yihua had seen in the past, just that all of those women were killed. In Lu Jing's heart, it is fine to treat her however you want, but if you want to kill my son, then you have to step over my dead body first. Lu Jing, get out of my way. He is not Yihua. Until now, Yishan still wasn't willing to believe that the man in front of him was Yihua. In Yishan's heart, on one hand he wanted Yihua to come back, but on the other hand he didn't want Yihua to come back. These two kinds of emotions intertwined together, causing Yishan to be a bit on the verge of collapse. In the past, Yihua was a double-edged sword. He could allow Yi family to rise, but he could also allow Yi family to be destroyed in an instant. Because back then, Yihua was too upright. This kind of personality was like a ticking time bomb. What do you know? He is my Yihua. Could it be that I don't even recognize my own son? Lu Jing screamed out. After so many years, I finally shouted out. These people are jealous of my Yihua, and that's why they are thinking of ways to kill Yihua. If it was possible back then, Lu Jing would have taught Yihua that he shouldn't be too outstanding, and that he should hide his own excellence, because this world isn't able to contain very outstanding people. Back then, when Lu Jing found out about this point, it was already too late. Thus, when Lu Jing was teaching Yi Juetian, Lu Jing was like this. End of this chapter. Chapter 982. However, Yi Juetian wanted to be a hero like his big brother, and he didn't want to be low profile at all. Unfortunately, his talent wasn't enough, and he was still unable to catch up to Yihua. Yihua is already dead. He isn't Yihua. Yishan's voice was trembling a bit. It was unclear what he was thinking right now. Perhaps Yishan was thinking that if this is Yihua, then Yi family would be in great trouble, because the royal family wouldn't let Yihua off. The one who acted back then was definitely the royal family. No. He is my son. I am 100% sure. After finished speaking, Lu Jing slowly turned around. Slightly raising her head, she looked towards Yihua. Although Yihua and Yi Juetian looked exactly the same, Lu Jing was able to tell that there was a cold and indifferent aura coming from between Yihua's brows. This is my Yihua, my son. This was also the first time Yihua saw his mother. Compared to what he imagined, his mother seemed a bit different. No matter what, my mother is a deity, and she should be living a life of luxury. However, looking at the woman in front of me, her body was thin. Her clothes were simple and elegant. Her black hair was naturally messy, and there were even some white hairs on her sideburns. Her entire temperament was very different. However, Yihua had never seen that pair of doting eyes before. Even Qingye and Donghuang Baiji had never seen such a pair of eyes before. This kind of feeling is hard to describe, but it just makes me feel warm. This kind of warmth is very comfortable, just like bathing under the winter sun. Yi Hua saw that his mother in front of him stretched out her hand towards his face. Right now Yi Hua had two choices in his heart. One was to stop her. The other was to allow it. However, if I stop her, will I make her sad? Even if I am not her son, I can at least make her happy for a bit. Although I am her son in the past. It's just that the things that Yi Hua did in the past are actually being taken care of by me. I really don't know how the Yi Hua lived in the past. He should be very weak, right? Yi Hua guessed correctly. Towards his enemies, the Yi Hua in the past was very fierce, but towards his own people he couldn't be fierce at all. He could clearly kill them to prevent future troubles, but that kindness of his left behind a seed of trouble. In the end, Yi Hua still allowed it. Mother's hands were different from Qingya and the others' hands. The hands of Qingya and the others were very tender and smooth. All of them were women who had never done any chores before, and had maintained their hands very well. However, his mother was different. Her palms were rough, but her palms were warm. This caused Yi Hua to feel a new emotion. I, the Supreme Overlord, am rather happy today. This is the feeling of kinship. It is indeed not bad. It was very comfortable. Lejing, get away from him. He's here to harm our family. Yi Shan's figure flashed, and he was as fast as the wind. However, no matter how fast a person was, could he be faster than Yi Hua? Wasn't this showing off in front of Guan Yu? Yi Hua could be seen slowly raising his right hand. Pa! It was the divine finger snapping technique again. This was also one of Yi Huajin's most commonly used moves, mainly because it was effective, so he used it more often. When he was outside, he had to remember to snap his fingers. Maybe it would work. Just like now. An unknown red gas had enveloped the air. Yi Shan's body gradually appeared, as if he was trapped in an unknown red gas. No matter how he struggled, it was to no avail. Yi Juetian was dumbfounded. Overlords were divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade and high grade. Father's overlord strength had reached middle grade, but in Big Brother's hands, he was simply like a monkey. Just how strong is Big Brother? Could it be that Big Brother has already reached high-grade Overlord? Or could it be that he has already reached high-grade Overlord? Bullshit. Yi Hua only knows about Supreme Overlord. If there was a title above it, he would definitely put it on. After all, I, the Supreme Overlord, am the strongest. Lejing didn't even look at Yi Shan. Her eyes were fixated on her son. Her hands were lightly caressing onto her son's cheeks, and tears were slowly falling down. Meanwhile, Yi Hua looked at his mother who was in front of him, and his right hand was slightly swaying. As the father, Yi Shan was being swung around by his son just like that. Endless rumbling sounds rang out from Yi family, and all of the buildings in Yi family were smashed into pieces by Yi Shan. Meanwhile, Yi Hua continued to wave his fingers, seemingly using this method to wash away the grievances that his mother had suffered for many years. Yi Chen and the others didn't know what to do. Big Brother's change caused them to feel afraid. In the past, they still dared to clamor because Big Brother wouldn't do anything to them. But now, do we dare to clamor? Could it be that we are going to become like Father, being played around by Big Brother's fingers? It is very terrifying. Perhaps it was because the commotion caused by Yi family was very big. A lot of people in Lingdu were woken up by the commotion, especially the big families that lived next to Yi family. Rumbling sounds could be clearly heard coming from Yi family's side. Are they tearing down a family? The Yi clan was really generous. Qian Yuqing was a little unable to stand still. Just what happened to Yi family? Could it be that something happened to Yi Juetian? Yuqing. Just as Qian Yuqing was about to move, Qian Yi's voice suddenly rang out. Qian Yuqing slightly lowered her head. Father. Yuqing, you have done too many things for Yi family. You should have your own life. Do you understand, child? How could Qianni not know that her daughter had compromised for the sake of the spiritual spring? However, this is also good. At least there is one thing that can make her daughter compromise. Qian Yuqing listened to the endless sounds coming from far away, then nodded her head. I understand. All right, go back and sleep peacefully. Qianni rubbed onto her daughter's head and said with a doting smile. Qian Yuqing turned around and walked into the house, but she didn't sleep and looked at the secret passage at the side. However, looking at the shadows outside, if Father doesn't find anyone after coming in, he will definitely suspect this secret. It is better not to use it. I am really worried about Yi family. Just what happened? Qianyi stood outside the house and looked towards Yi family's direction, not planning to go and join in the liveliness. In spiritual capital, if one didn't have the confidence, one shouldn't go and interfere in other matters. After all, one would bring trouble to oneself, especially this kind of fight. The entire spiritual capital knew what happened to Yi family, but no one came to watch the liveliness, because everyone's thoughts were the same as Qianyi's. One can listen to the liveliness, but one mustn't go and watch. If one saw something that one shouldn't know, then it would be hard to say. The water in this spiritual capital is very deep. In Yi family, if one looked down from above, more than half of Yi family's buildings had collapsed, and Yishan was like a huge iron ball, crashing here and there. Suddenly, Yihua put down his hand and slightly raised his head to look at the night sky. A warrior wearing golden armor appeared. This was of course Skybearing, who rushed over. Skybearing stood in the air and looked at the entire Yi family with a strange expression. Just what is going on? Aren't those the Yi family brothers? What is this Yi family doing? End of this chapter. Chapter 983. Were they all sick? Who was that person? Why does he look like Yi Juetian? No. Yi Juetian was at the side. Then he is. Yi Chen and the rest also saw the arrival of Skybearing. There wasn't a single person in spiritual capital who didn't know Skybearing. After all, he was the emperor's personal guard and a very popular person. He belonged to the same generation as Yihua, and back then, he and Yihua were also two heroes. However, Yihua's brilliance had completely overshadowed Skybearing. This caused others to only know of Yihua and not know who Skybearing was. It was only after Yihua got into an accident that Cheng Tian gradually appeared in everyone's eyes, and he climbed all the way to become the emperor's favorite. To the people of Skybearing Empire, there was also a shadow in their hearts, and that was Yihua. Outstanding people will always attract the jealousy of others. Back then, other than Qian Yuqing, Yihua basically didn't have any social connections. He was cold and aloof, but his attitude was the same as now. It was hateful. What he lacked was a girl's liking, but there were none of them. Yihua raised his head and looked towards Skybearing. Their gazes collided in the air. Yihua's incomparably cold eyes caused Skybearing's body to tremble. This pair of eyes had appeared in his dreams more than once. She wanted to defeat him, but she had no way to do so, even in her dreams. Wasn't he dead? How could a dead person come back? Skybearing could not help but rub his eyes to confirm if this was real. In his heart, he was telling himself that this was fake. This is fake. It can't be true. But no matter how he rubbed it, the demon was still standing there. Even the golden armor on Skybearing's body had dimmed quite a bit. It really followed the mood of its owner. Skybearing Empire looked at the figure in the ruins. Isn't that Yishan? How did he end up in such a sorry state? Cheng Tian took in a deep breath and suppressed the fear in his heart. Maybe it wasn't what he thought. Cheng Tian and the people behind him slowly descended. Yihua silently looked at these people, while shielding his mother behind him. Towards this subconscious action, Yihua paused for a moment. He began to understand what had happened in the past. It was natural for a son to protect his mother. There was no need to think too much about it. It was the same the other way around. Yi Juetian, who was at the side, was slightly nervous. The Skybearing Empire was not one to be trifled with. However, Yi Juetian had forgotten that right now, Yihua was not someone to be trifled with. When his temper flared up, he would behead all of them. Yichen did not dare to say anything now. This unfamiliar big brother even dared to beat their own father, much less them. What's going on? Skybearing bellowed. I am now an imperial bodyguard of the emperor, and not the Skybearing Empire of the past. Even if you are Yihua, you are not the Yihua of the past. Your return will only make those who hate you even more, because you didn't die. Yi Chun and the others lowered their heads in silence, not daring to act rashly. Skybearing frowned. What was the meaning of this? In the past, even if they were in front of Yihua, they wouldn't be so reserved, and they would even say that their big brother wasn't Yihua. But now he didn't. He didn't dare to say a word. Who are you? Chung Tian looked towards Yi Hua and asked. Yi Juetian wanted to say something, but he was stopped by Yi Hua. Yi Juetian asked faintly, why do you idiots want to ask the same question? In actuality, don't you all know what's going on in your hearts? Yi Juetian gave him a thumbs up in his heart. My big brother is still the most awesome. Following behind my big brother is so cool. Afterward, Li Jing, who was behind Yi Hua, slightly wrinkled her eyebrows. Right now, Yi Hua's way of speaking is a bit rude. I have to properly change Yi Hua's attitude. This won't do, I have to be polite. In the past, Yi Hua was just too polite. When Sky Bearing heard Yi Hua's words, his brows wrinkled. Is this really Yi Hua? If not, how would he dare to speak like this? F***CK, is this really Yi Hua or not? Boom. An explosion could be heard from within the ruins, and Yi Shan's body soared into the sky, then landed on the ground. Unfilial son. Right after Yi Shan's words finished, Yi Shan's body was once again sent flying. This time he crashed into the ruins and didn't come out again. After Yi Chun and the others saw this, they shivered and didn't dare to say anything. As soon as Lord Father came out, he inexplicably flew out. This was completely unreasonable. Lord Father hadn't even finished speaking. Lu Jing was a bit dazed as well. Why did Yi Hua hit me? Did I see wrongly just now? Yi Hua, what you are doing is wrong. How can you hit me? Even if you want to hit me, you shouldn't do it in front of so many people. Let's just secretly hit your father. Sky Bearing was stupefied. This son hit his father. He hit me so openly. I have never seen such a thing before. Today, my horizons have been broadened. However, here comes the problem. I didn't even notice how Yi Shan was hit just now. Yi Shan had already turned into an afterimage and disappeared. Could it be that after disappearing for so many years, this Yi Hua's strength has already reached an abnormal level? How is this possible? However, what should I do now? Am I going to be beaten up like Yi Shan? I am the Emperor's imperial bodyguard. Even if I give him 100 guts, I wouldn't dare to do this. Yi Hua, you actually dare to hit your own father. Your heart deserves to be put to death. Sky Bearing shouted out towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua said faintly, is that so? I have recently lost my memory, and I can't remember things very clearly. Also, I didn't know how to control my strength when I attacked. It would be bad if I were to injure myself. This persistence was a blatant threat. Yi Juetian felt that his big brother is too arrogant to actually dare to even threaten the Emperor's imperial bodyguard. This is too awesome. When can I be like big brother? Lu Jing was the same. When did Yi Hua become so arrogant? No wonder little Tian said that big brother has changed. This change is too big. Right now, Yi Chun and the others seem to have gotten used to it. They stood at the side and didn't say a word. Do you know who I am? To actually dare to speak arrogantly. I seem to have the right not to know which ball are you. To dare to speak in front of me. Not everyone has the right to speak in front of me. You will pay the price. Sky Bearing couldn't help but want to draw out his blade, but just now, Yi Shan was beaten up. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. I am watching. What are you watching? I am watching how you are going to pay the price. Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke. Lu Jing felt that the things that Yi Hua smoked were definitely not good for his body. All mothers are like this. No matter how old their son is, they would always take care of him as if he was still a child. Sky Bearing took in a deep breath. If this matter wasn't because of Yi Hua, it would be very easy to deal with. This Yi Hua suddenly came back. This isn't a simple matter. Yi Hua was a general in the past. After Yi Hua died, he was directly conferred the title of a brave great general, enjoying all the privileges of the emperor. However, right now he actually died for no reason. That is, a brave great general who didn't die, enjoying all the privileges of the emperor. Just what is going on? Is he crazy? With this kind of attitude of yours, the emperor will definitely punish you. Just you wait and see. After finished speaking, Sky Bearing left without any hesitation at all. Yi Hua shook his head. These deities are all cowards. After staying in Wushu Empire's palace, this room seemed to be filled with misery and bitterness. Big brother, You've beaten up father, and the ninth prince. You've even offended Sky-bearing just now. Sky-bearing is the favorite of the emperor. Yi Juetian couldn't help but worry about this. Big brother had offended a lot of people. It hadn't even been 2 hours. If he stayed for a day, he would have offended everyone. So high. It was so cold. After hearing that, Yi Hua laughed lightly. They are just a bunch of clowns. You have to get rid of your bad habit of being afraid of trouble. After that, he took out a cigarette and lit it. Big brother was awesome. Even this action revealed a kind of pretentiousness. No wonder he couldn't catch up with his big brother's footsteps. He was a little behind. Big brother, let me eat. Yi Hua took out a cigarette and passed it to his little brother. This is called smoking. Smoke. It sounds amazing. Yi Juetian lit the cigarette and took a breath. He immediately choked. Seems like even supreme beings can't take it. It's not easy to smoke. Yi Juetian frowned and said. Yi Hua shook his head. What does a young man like you know? It's a kind of loneliness. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother. He didn't understand, but he felt that it was awesome. As expected, this was something that he couldn't learn. Big brother, little brother has learned it. Yi Juetian imitated Yi Hua's expression, deep and depressed. Yi Hua said calmly, you still have a lot to learn in the future. Big brother, please enlighten me. Sure. Suddenly, the door was pushed open. Yi family and Yi Juetian smoked as they looked at Lu Jing, who entered. Right now, the small room was filled with fog. It was simply like heaven on earth. What are you two brothers doing? Lu Jing shouted, looking like she was scolding her sons. Yi Juetian's hand trembled, and he immediately extinguished the cigarette. He had a deep hatred towards them. Yi Hua stealthily stepped on the cigarette and extinguished it, then said gravely, Yi Juetian, don't give me these things in the future. They are very harmful. Yi Juetian. Lu Jing directly looked towards Yi Juetian. Little Tian, how can you be like this? When your big brother comes, you immediately act recklessly. If anything happens to your big brother, I will beat you up. Yi Juetian. Yi Hua sat at the side and didn't say anything. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother, then looked at his mother. You two are bullying me. Yi Hua, your little brother is very mischievous. In the future, properly take care of your little brother. Lu Jing placed the cooked dishes on the table. In Lu Jing's heart, these were Yi Hua's 3 favorite dishes. Shredded pork with green pepper, spicy tofu, red braised pork. Yi Hua looked at the dishes that his mother cooked, and his heart felt warm. These dishes were much better than what Qingya and the others cooked. Lu Jing scooped a bowl of rice and placed it beside her son. Yi Hua, try it. It has been a very long time since mother cooked. Yi Hua answered, then picked up the chopsticks and tasted the food. This feeling. Why does it feel just like when I ate Auntie's fruit jianbing back then? That warm feeling. I am willing to be nagged by her. It has been a very long time since I had this kind of feeling. Yi Hua just likes to lie to himself and look for that warm feeling from Auntie's place. It's just that I don't want to admit it. Towards familial love, Yi Hua had a look of indifference, but in actuality, what he hoped to obtain the most was familial love. Is it delicious? Lu Jing asked tenderly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with love, seemingly afraid that the child would starve. It's delicious, Yi Hua said with a gloomy tone. His heart was very touched. Eat more then. In the future, mother will cook for you every day. Lu Jing's smile was about to blossom. This is too blissful, too satisfied. Yi Hua nodded his head and slowly ate the food. It's so fragrant. Mother, what about me? Yi Juetian asked blankly. This is simply the rhythm of wanting a big brother, and not a little brother. Mother, you can't be so biased. Little Tian, what are you doing here? Quickly go and pour some water for your big brother. My mother, hurry up, mother is really too fond of you. Yi Juetian was very speechless. This mother is being biased way too openly. Right now Yi Hua was very happy. I haven't been this happy for a very long time. However, when there are people who are happy, there are people who are tragic. Yi Shan belonged to the tragic category. There was also Sky-bearing. Right now, Sky-bearing hurriedly rushed over to the emperor's sleeping palace. Your Majesty, something big has happened. The lights in the room were on, but there was no reply. Chapter 985. Skybearing raised his head slightly. The Emperor's bedroom is still lit. He shouldn't be asleep yet. Emperor. Something big has happened. Skybearing's voice couldn't help but become louder. We must wake up the Emperor. After shouting, Skybearing lowered his head, and beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Even now, he still felt as if he was dreaming. That damned Yi Hua. Why is he still alive? Why didn't the heavens take him away? Why are they still letting him appear? What are you making noise for? What big matter has happened? Am I going to die? Huang Feidi's voice rang out in the bedroom. His tone was filled with deep dissatisfaction, as if he was interrupted. Following the Emperor's words, Skybearing could hear the dissatisfaction of a woman, the coquettishness, as well as the Emperor's consolation. Emperor, this subject has an urgent matter to report. It is extremely urgent. Skybearing hurriedly shouted. A cold snort sounded from the room, and not long after, the door in front of the Skybearing Empire opened. Skybearing bowed and walked in with small steps. Huang Feidi was wearing a white robe and sitting in the study room, pouring himself a cup of water. You have disturbed my mood today. If you don't have a sufficient reason, you should know what the consequences are. Huang Feidi didn't even look at Skybearing as he said slowly. Accompanying the Emperor was like accompanying a tiger. There was no such thing as an eternal favorite. Skybearing immediately knelt beside Huang Feidi and said respectfully, Emperor, please forgive me, this subject is useless. I asked you to go to Yi family to take a look. How can you say that you are useless? Could it be that Yi Shan dares to make things difficult for you? Huang Feidi questioned. Skybearing took a deep breath and crawled even deeper. Emperor, it isn't Yi Shan from Yi family who is making things difficult for this subject. It is Yi Hua from Yi family. Huang Feidi snorted. Yi Hua. Looking at the Emperor's expression, it seemed like he hadn't remembered. However, just when he was about to drink the water, Huang Feidi froze and looked down at Skybearing. What did you just say? Emperor. Yi family. Yi Hua didn't die. He is back. A crisp sound rang out. The teacup in Huang Feidi's hand fell to the ground. This wasn't because he was frightened, but because he was shocked. As the teacup broke, many people dressed in black could be seen rushing out from all directions. These were the people who were protecting the Emperor in the dark. Back down. Huang Feidi shouted lightly. Yes. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared. Seeing such a huge reaction from the Emperor, Skybearing was also a little flustered. He did not understand why the Emperor was like this. Was he afraid? Or was it because of something? You're right. The eldest young master of the Yi family, Yi Hua? Huang Feidi leaned forward and asked solemnly. Skybearing didn't dare to look straight at Huang Feidi. He lowered his head and said sincerely, That's right, it's that Yi Hua. Hearing this answer, Huang Feidi slowly closed his eyes. This damnable Yi Hua. Why is he not dead yet? Didn't he die back then? Why did he come back? Tell me everything you saw tonight. Yes. Hearing Skybearing's narration, Huang Feidi's gaze gradually turned grave. The moment this Yi Hua came back, he beat me up, and he even tore apart more than half of Yi family. Is this still the Yi Hua of the past? Huang Feidi laughed lightly. To think that Yi Hua would actually lose his memories. This Yi Hua is rather curious. This kind of thing is really interesting. However, Yi Hua, you should not have come back. Many people will be unhappy with your return, including this Empress. You can leave now. Yes. Skybearing respectfully left. No matter how powerful he was just an imperial bodyguard. To put it bluntly, he was just a bodyguard of the Emperor. It was just that simple. There were some important matters that Skybearing didn't even have the chance to be involved in. How could Huang Feidi, who was sitting in the study room, still have the mood to be intimate with a woman? Towards Yi Hua's sudden appearance, he was caught unprepared. Men. Huang Feidi shouted out gravely. Skybearing, who just walked out, walked back in. Your Majesty. Call Shan Junren over. Yes. Shan Junren was the Prime Minister of Lingdu. His position was very high. And there was a saying that he was only below one person, and above tens of thousands of people. Among the three great families of Lingdu, other than the Qian family, the Shan family was the same. Your Majesty, that beautiful concubine could be seen walking over leisurely with her soft tongue licking the corner of her lips. How could Huang Feidi have the mood to deal with such things right now? He said softly. You can return first. Your Majesty, the concubine continued acting coquettishly. It seemed like she still wanted to obtain the favor of this deity realm's emperor. What an honor that would be. If I can give birth to a boy, my status would instantly rise. This is a rare opportunity. Huang Feidi's expression sunk. I don't want to say it a second time. The concubine was startled and immediately said respectfully, This concubine shall take her leave. Your Majesty, rest early. Huang Feidi nodded and waved his hand. The concubine left with a disappointed expression. She was truly reluctant to part with Huang Feidi. Huang Feidi slowly closed his eyes and pondered. This sudden news was truly hard for him to accept. Right at this moment, a black figure slowly condensed in the air. It was a man wearing a black cloak, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. Huang Feidi took a look and said faintly, Jackdaw is here. Yes, Your Majesty. This jackdaw's voice was a bit hoarse, and it made one feel uncomfortable. However, when this jackdaw saw Huang Feidi, he didn't kneel down. Instead, he acted respectfully. Wait for Prime Minister. Huang Feidi said faintly, Yes. After about the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Shan Junren finally arrived. This subject greets Your Majesty. Shan Junren was a white-haired old man. However, to a deity, this was nothing more than a bag of skin. If it was possible, Shan Junren could also turn into a young fellow. It was just that he wasn't willing to do so. You may rise. Thank you, Your Majesty. After Shan Junren stood up, he greeted Jackdaw who was beside him. Jackdaw nodded his head in response. Huang Feidi said gravely, Yihua is still alive. Hearing this, Shan Junren was clearly startled. On the other hand, Jackdaw's reaction was rather normal. There wasn't much fluctuation in his emotions. Your Majesty, could it be that the commotion tonight was caused by Yihua? Shan Junren asked gravely. Huang Feidi didn't answer Jackdaw's question. What I'm curious about is the already dead Yihua. Why did he suddenly return? Is this a fake? Shan Junren tightly furrowed his brows. In his heart, he was extremely shocked. The Yi family's young master is actually still alive. This is impossible. As he thought about this, Shan Junren looked towards Jackdaw. However, Huang Feidi also looked towards Jackdaw, seemingly waiting for Jackdaw's confirmation. Jackdaw said softly, Your Majesty, Prime Minister, back then, I personally saw the demon emperor kill Yihua. I threw his corpse into the Tao Ocean. I'm absolutely certain of this. End of this chapter. Chapter 986. Then you shouldn't have come back. The sea of the path is boundless, and humans can't survive in it. Shan Junren whispered. He knew what Jackdaw was trying to say. Jackdaw wanted to kill Yihua without giving him any chance to live. Jackdaw said in a low voice, Perhaps this Yihua is fake. Okay, if it's fake, then it's easy. But what if it's real? How should we deal with it? This emperor does not wish to hear my people shouting for someone other than the imperial family again. Huang Feidi said coldly. The memories of the past were still fresh in his mind. At first he didn't pay much attention to it, but soon, the cheers grew louder and louder, even surpassing him, the emperor. His achievements overshadowed the lord. His achievements overshadowed his masters. Furthermore, this Yihua really doesn't know how to conduct himself. Does he really think that he is the emperor? To think that he is even going to stand up for my people, who gave him the guts to do this. Leaving someone like that alive would definitely be a disaster, so they had to think of a way to get rid of him. It had to be said that their luck was quite good. Yihua had died at the hands of the demon emperor. Originally, Jackdaw had been the one to finish him off. That would have been perfect. Shan Junren said gravely, Your Majesty, if this Yihua is real, then it will be a very big trouble. It's even more troublesome than back then. Prime Minister is right. After Yihua's death, In order to show his benevolence, His Majesty conferred Yi Hua the title of Great General Shanyong, allowing him to enjoy all the privileges of the emperor. However, now that Yi Hua has returned alive, this means that he is a living Great General Shanyong. Using the words of His Majesty back then, you are on equal footing with him. Jackdaw's words caused Huang Feidi's expression to become even more gloomy. Who knew that Yi Hua would still be alive? What does it matter to confer a title on a dead person? The problem was that the dead man had returned. So, let me ask you, is there any way to solve this problem? Huang Feidi questioned coldly. He was very vexed and depressed. This is simply lifting a rock and dropping it on my own feet. Back then, why did I confer the title of Shanyong Great General for no reason? And even said those words. Although the effect was not bad, but now, Your Majesty, this subject feels that we should quietly observe the situation and see if this Yi Hua is real or fake. I believe that Yi Shan will definitely be able to verify it. Shan Junren suggested. Rather than making wild guesses, it was better to see how others would make their first move. After that, he would be able to see what would happen next. Jackdaw, tell me, said Huang Feidi in a low voice. Jackdaw took a deep breath. Your Majesty, I have a plan. Oh, tell me. Huang Feidi's interest was piqued. Your Majesty, I'm sure you know about the 9th Prince and Qian Yuqing. Huang Feidi instantly understood. Prime Minister, what do you think of this matter? Huang Feidi asked. Shan Junren pondered for a bit, then said respectfully, Your Majesty, Qian Yuqing and Yehua's wedding is not considered complete, but after all, it has been 1,000 years. The 9th Prince's matter has long been spread in the city. Everyone is very optimistic about the two of them. As he spoke up to hear, Shan Junren paused for a moment, and then said with a cold tone, If Your Majesty wants to use this opportunity to get rid of Yi Hua, then you must announce the marriage between the 9th Prince and Qian Yuqing to the God's realm before everyone knows that Yi Hua has returned. Jackdaw nodded. If Yi Hua dares to act recklessly, the Emperor has 100 ways to punish him. Of course, the precondition is that Yi Hua is still thinking about Qian Yuqing. Good. Huang Feidi clapped his hands and stood up. As long as I don't get rid of this Yi Hua, he will be a thorn in my heart. Tomorrow morning, I will announce the marriage between Yun, and Qian Yuqing to the world. Huang Feidi originally cared about this matter. After all, Qian Yuqing used to be Yi Hua's woman. Although she didn't marry him, they still had a relationship. However, Huang Yun was the son he valued the most. If his son liked her, how could he not allow it? However, right now, it wasn't a matter of liking or not. He just wanted to use this matter to make Yi Hua rebel. That way, he would have an excuse to get rid of this brave general. Everyone would have nothing to say. When the time came, they would even shout that the emperor was wise. Since the matter was decided, Huang Feidi immediately wrote an imperial edict and handed it to the manager. Tomorrow morning he would announce it. Shan Junren and Jackdaw left one after another. Meanwhile, Huang Feidi went to Huang Yun's sleeping quarters to check on the situation. Your Majesty has arrived. A sharp voice rang out. Huang Yun wasn't sleepy at all. He was sitting on a chair in deep thought. When he heard the voice outside, he immediately got up and went to welcome the emperor. Your son greets father. Huang Yun respectfully shouted. You may rise. The father and son walked into the room. Huang Yun stood beside Huang Feidi and asked respectfully, Father, it is already so late. Do you have any instructions? Yun, tomorrow, the marriage between you and Qian Yuqing will be announced to the world. Huang Feidi went straight to the point. Huang Yun's gaze shook, and joy immediately appeared on his face. He hurriedly kneeled down and thanked. Thank you, father, for helping me. You should have met Yi Hua, right? Huang Feidi asked confusedly. Huang Yun, who was kneeling on the ground, trembled. After a while he said gravely, I have met him. How do you feel? Huang Feidi asked. Very strong. Huang Feidi laughed lightly. He is indeed very strong. After returning, he even dared to beat me up. However, this time, father will not let him off. You should understand what I mean, right? Huang Yun wasn't an idiot. When he heard his father mention Yi Hua, He immediately understood why his father was so anxious. If Yi Hua was to be announced to the world before everyone knew about it, then Qian Yuqing would be a woman of the royal family, and he, Yi Hua, would be nothing. If you dare to touch a woman of the royal family, you will be surrounded and attacked by the entire God's realm. Father, I understand. I will listen to father's arrangements. Huang Feidi was very gratified. He stood up and patted on his son's shoulder. Prepare to be the groom. Yes. To be honest, back then, even Huang Feidi wanted to marry Qian Yuqing, but in the end, Qian Yuqing was snatched away by Yi Hua. Does this count as letting the son obtain what the father can't obtain? Son respectfully sends off father. Looking at his father leaving, a happy smile finally appeared on Huang Yun's face. This Yi Hua's appearance is rather good, to actually be able to make father agree to it. I thought that I would have to persuade father bitterly. Upon thinking that tomorrow was coming, Huang Yun was unable to conceal the excitement in his heart. Meanwhile, in Yi family, Yi Shan was finally woken up by Yi Chen and the others. Evil creature. I am going to hack him into pieces. The moment Yi Shan opened his eyes, he shouted out explosively. Lord Father, don't be impulsive, you won't be able to win against Big Brother. Yi Liangkai pulled onto his father and told him the truth. Yi Shan froze, and the scene from earlier replayed within his mind. I actually can't even win against my son. And I was even thrown around by my son. Yi Chen discovered that his father's back view had suddenly become much older, and he hurriedly said, Lord Father, what should we do now? End of this chapter. Chapter 987. Yi Shan looked up at the starry sky. After a long time, he said indifferently, Tomorrow I'll go to the palace to meet the emperor. It seemed like his father was going to ask the emperor for help. This was also a good thing, but he was afraid that Big Brother would even dare to beat the emperor, then the whole Yi clan would be buried with him. No. Right now, Big Brother can also be counted as a kind and brave great general. Back then, the emperor had even personally said to me that in the future, I will be addressing Big Brother as my brother. There won't be any distinction between us. At that time, when everyone heard it, they had even loudly praised the emperor for being wise. Now that Big Brother was back, could it be said that he was on equal footing with the emperor? Father, don't get agitated. Yi Chen quickly shouted and said what he was thinking. Yi Shan calmed down a lot after hearing this. Third brother was right, but this matter still had to be discussed with the emperor. Back then, he had already implicated the Yi clan once. This time, he must not let him implicate the Yi clan again. Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhe stood at the side without saying a word. They were digesting what had happened tonight. Now, Big Brother had become a figure that could not be provoked. In the past, Big Brother could still be provoked, even if it was just a few words. But look at his father. He hadn't even started talking, and was already being beaten up by his big brother. How terrifying. Right now, Yi Hua still didn't know that the emperor had already started scheming against him. Yi Hua also didn't care about those things. To the god's realm, he was just a passerby, and the food that mother cooks is rather delicious. In the future, I will let Qinya and Donghuang Baiji learn how to cook. Thinking up to here, Yi Hua became puzzled. Why do I want Qinya and Donghuang Baiji to learn from each other? Could it be that I am planning to bring my mother over to Wushu Empire? After finishing the 3 dishes in front of him, Yi Hua was very satisfied. Yi Juetian, who was sitting at the side, was also very happy. When Lu Jing saw that her son had eaten all the food she had cooked, she was very happy. She hadn't felt this kind of happiness in a long time. It could be said that she had fulfilled one of her wishes. Little Tian, clean up? Yi Juetian looked at his mother. This change happened too quickly, catching him off guard. He was unable to react at all. Mother is too biased. Doesn't she know that the little one is actually very hungry too? Yi Juetian had no choice but to pack his things and walk out of the house. Suddenly his eyes lit up. His mother was calling him away and telling him not to be a third wheel. This is so miserable. Right now, I am the third wheel. Within the room, Yi Hua's heart was a bit nervous. The woman in front of me is both unfamiliar and familiar at the same time. Right now, I basically don't know what to say. Chat. He didn't seem to have anything else to talk about. He still wanted to call her mother, but he wasn't ready yet, so he couldn't bring himself to do so. Yihua's hands that were placed on the table were held by Lu Jing. Facing such an action, Yihua's entire body trembled. "Yihua, it's great to be able to see you back again," Lu Jing said with a satisfied smile as she lightly rubbed the back of Yihua's hand. Feeling the feeling of the past, Yihua did not say anything. Lu Jing did not blame Yihua. After all, Yihua had lost his memories right now. Perhaps, Lu Jing might feel that it was a bit strange, but they were, after all, mother and son. After interacting with each other for a long time, that feeling that she had not felt for a long time would appear again. Actually, in mother's heart, there are two things that have always been on my mind. Right now, one of the things has already been completed, and there is only one thing left. While speaking, Lu Jing looked at Yihua with an unusual smile on her face. Yihua felt as if he was going to sell his main body out. Yihua looked as if he was going to sell his main body out. Lu Jing laughed tenderly. "Yuqing is a good girl. Yihua, you can't let others down, do you understand? Right now, mother only has one request, and that is for you to give Yuqing a perfect ending." "I already have a wife," Yihua said faintly. Towards Qian Yuqing, "I don't know what kind of feeling I have. If this woman is to be a collectible, this woman is indeed worth collecting. But if it is love, I feel that it has not reached that stage yet. This Qian Yuqing really likes me in the past. It is a pity that I am no longer the same person in the past. This is destined to be an ill-fated relationship. It seems to be a bit too much. If I collect them together with Daji, I can still consider it. However, it is definitely impossible for someone like Qinya and the others. I don't have any feelings for Qian Yuqing at all." Yihua was also lying to himself. If I really don't like Qian Yuqing, why did I save her that day in the Imperial Palace? I even took advantage of her and hugged her. One must know that Yihua is also a man who has mysophobia. Normally, Yihua wouldn't even touch a woman. For Yihua to touch a woman, that woman must definitely be an outstanding beauty. After listening to what Yihua said, Lu Jing let out a light sigh. "Yihua, after being away from home for so many years, it is normal for you to have a wife. However, mother wants to tell you that Yuqing has sacrificed too much for you. You cannot break her heart. Do you understand?" With so many people saying that Qian Yuqing sacrificed too much for me, even I, the Supreme Overlord, believe it. In actuality, Yihua naturally believed it. For the sake of meeting me, this woman is not even afraid of death. It would be a lie to say that I am not touched. However, I am still a man. Do you think that I will let you chase after me so easily? Wouldn't that make me seem very frivolous? Furthermore, even if you want to chase after me, you have to spend some time with me first and let me see if you are worthy of being a wife or not. Recently, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji have become a bit too arrogant. My sister-in-law is still the best. She can just run out of the house and make me worry a lot less. Looking at her son who was in a daze, Lu Jing asked gently, "Yihua, did you hear what mother said?" "Oh, and..." Yihua went into a daze for a moment, then said with a doubtful tone. However, Lu Jing didn't hear what Yihua said, and thought that Yihua had agreed to it. Lu Jing immediately laughed. "Yihua, you are truly mother's good son. For Yuqing to have a husband like you, she will definitely be happy for the rest of her life. Her efforts have finally been rewarded." Yihua looked at his mother blankly. What did I just say? Chinese characters are broad and profound, and different pronunciations represent different meanings. Even the same word is different in different places. For example, F***K. This word is too profound, even I like it. Who doesn't like flowers and plants? You humans with problematic thoughts, I am still pure enough. However, I really didn't say that just now. Yihua, have a good sleep tonight. After that, go and look for Yuqing tomorrow. Do you know, other girls have already waited for you for thousands of years. Don't let them continue to wait. Mother feels sad when I look at Yuqing. Yihua didn't know what to say anymore. Reject me now? My words are of enormous weight, and not even 100 undead Kuan can pull me back. However, didn't I say that just now? This is a combination of contradictions. Ah, big brother, you finally thought it through. Sister-in-law has finally waited for this day. This is truly great. At this moment, Yi Juetian suddenly ran out and cried out in surprise. End of chapter. Chapter 988. Yi Juetian continued. Big brother, you are really something. If you like her, then so be it. You even locked sister-in-law outside for a few days. Don't you feel heartache? Ah. Yihua, you locked Yuqing outside? What's wrong? Lu Jing asked hurriedly, thinking that they were having a conflict. Yihua took a look at Yi Juetian, and Yi Juetian immediately had a bad feeling. Little Tiansa. Even Yihua himself was unable to say it out loud, and thus he could only speak with this kind of tone that was hard to speak out. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Big brother, your framing and framing are truly at the point of perfection. Lil Tian, tell mother why your big brother and sister-in-law had a conflict. Was it because of you? Lu Jing asked sternly. She thought that Lil Tian was still so immature. Yi Juetian felt that he wasn't a match for his big brother. In the past, his big brother didn't even have this kind of brain, he was just a simple-minded person. Big brother felt that his IQ had increased. With just one sentence, he could make his mother scold him. Mother, have a good chat with big brother. I'll go back and rest first. Bye. Little Tian. Little Tian. Lu Jing called out softly. How could Yi Juetian dare to stay any longer? A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua's mouth. However, when his mother turned her head around, that trace of arc immediately disappeared, and Yi Hua became the cold and aloof Yi Hua. Yi Hua, live well with Yuqing in the future. Do you understand? Mother will be at ease then. Sigh, seeing that mother is persuading me like this, I will reluctantly accept it. This is truly unbearable. Yi Hua replied lightly. Lu Jing's face was brimming with a happy smile, and her face was filled with gratification. Yehua, when you have time, bring your wife over and let mother take a look at her. Okay. In actuality, back then, when he was talking to the aunt, his attitude was basically the same, just that he didn't say anything. Lu Jing could finally put down the stone in her heart. That was great. Yihua suddenly thought of something and said lightly, I still have 4 children. After hearing that, Lu Jing was startled. Then she grabbed onto Yihua's arm with both of her hands. Really? Quickly bring it over and let mother take a look. My God, I have actually become a grandmother. This is great. Yihua actually has 4 children. I wonder if they look like Yihua or not. Yihua's hand moved, and a photo appeared in his hand. Lu Jing picked up the photo with doubt, and looked at the family of 8 in the photo. The 4 children were standing at the front with smiles on their faces. Yihua was standing in the middle, and on his left and right were 3 women. And all of them looked very beautiful. His son had good taste. And these children, they look so good. Yihua's genes are indeed powerful. Good. Lu Jingxin was satisfied. However, Yihua, why are there 3 of them? In actuality, I have 3 wives, and one of my wives is not in the palace. Thus, Xiao Tian thought that I only have 2 wives. Yihua explained. Right now, his words didn't seem to be that stiff anymore. Lu Jing nodded. She didn't blame them because these 3 daughters-in-law seemed to be pretty good. Yehua, that's why you can't treat Yuqing unfairly. Love Yuqing well and strive to give birth to a chubby boy next year. What else could Yihua do? Right now, he could only nod his head and agree to it. In the end, the mother and son chatted for a while more. And after that, Lu Jing looked for Yi Juetian and asked him to arrange Yihua's residence. Big brother, good job, this is my big brother. Yi Juetian happily held onto Yihua's shoulder. Yihua didn't say anything. Could it be that I am going to chop off my own little brother's arm? Don't force me, Yihua said faintly. TSK, if big sister-in-law becomes another woman, big brother, you can say these words again. Yi Juetian said with a teasing tone. After hearing that, Yihua didn't say anything. Yi Juetian brought Yihua to his previous room, then asked curiously, Big brother, do you have any impression of this place? Yihua took a look at his surroundings, but he didn't have any impression of this place. Sigh. Yi Juetian knew that this would be the case. I still have to think of a way to deal with Big Brother's amnesia. The amnesia of the undead was a kind of order, and no one was able to change it. That's right, Big Brother. There is something that I have to tell you about. In Yi Juetian told Yi Hua about the matter regarding Great General Shan Yong, letting his big brother know what was going on. Upon hearing such news, Yi Hua chuckled lightly. Does that emperor have the qualifications to sit on the same level as me? What kind of joke is that? Do you know why you are still alive right now? That is because I am benevolent. This sentence can also be said to every single god. Big brother, don't secretly meet up with big sister-in-law. With a cheeky smile on his face, Yi Juetian left. Yi Hua shook his head. I, the Supreme Overlord, have always been the one being chased, so how can I possibly chase after a woman? Furthermore, I, the Supreme Overlord, have never met up with a woman in private. Sitting on the bed, Yi Hua waved his hand. The entire room could be seen lighting up, and a human figure could be seen slowly appearing. Yi Hua finally saw his past self. Very handsome, very cold, and somewhat similar to the appearance of the Supreme Overlord. However, it is still not enough. However, this hairstyle is not bad. I, the Supreme Overlord, have never had long hair before, so I can give it a try. Suddenly, Yi Hua saw that the floor was moving. A beautiful figure walked out from the floor, then pounced into Yi Hua's embrace. That appearance was exactly the same as when Qingya and Donghuang Baiji leaned into Yi Hua's embrace. From the looks of it, the past Mi and Qian Yuqing were indeed very much in love with each other. Yi Hua let out a light sigh, then removed the fantasy from his mind. Soon after, he walked to that piece of floorboard and opened it up. Inside the floorboard was actually a tunnel. It seems like he is heading towards Qian Yuqing's side. Should I go over and tell him that if he wants to be my woman, he must listen to my words? The 3 obediences and 4 virtues are the basic skills. After thinking about it, Yi Hua decided to forget about it. Does I, the Supreme Overlord, look like the kind of person who walks down the path of righteousness? Furthermore, this kind of thing has to depend on Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing has to comprehend it herself. After closing up the floorboards, Yi Hua took off his clothes and laid on the bed. The bedboard was a bit hard, making it not very comfortable to sleep on. I'll just make do with it and sleep for now. I still have things to do tomorrow. That night, some people had insomnia, while others slept soundly. Dawn rose slowly, representing the beginning of a new day. However, the entire spirit capital seemed a little gloomy. Many things had happened last night. Although he didn't know what they were, it felt like something big had happened. At this time, Yi Shan had already put on his court attire and was ready to enter the palace to meet the emperor. The Yi family was actually not very far from the palace, so Yi Shan walked there directly. As soon as he walked out of the door, he saw a lot of people whispering to each other. Some even ran to the notice board. Yi Shan was very confused, so he followed them to take a look. Before he walked into the notice board, he heard someone talking. The 9th prince and Qian Yuqing's marriage actually succeeded. Isn't this too fake? How is it fake? I just feel that the 9th prince and Qian Yuqing are very compatible. No matter how compatible they are still Yi Hua's women, do you understand? Yi Hua died long ago. There is only Huang Yin left now. End of this chapter. Chapter 989. Do you want to fight? Come on. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The 2 fans immediately started fighting. However, Yi Shan did not look at them and walked towards the notice board. When he saw the good news on the notice board, Yi Shan was stunned. The emperor actually approved the marriage. Yi Shan immediately understood. For the emperor to approve the marriage at this crucial moment, it is obviously against Yi Hua. If Yi Hua dares to act recklessly, I will have an excuse to kill this brave great general. This is a good plan, but if Yi Hua really falls for it, wouldn't this Huang Feidy find an excuse to exploit Yi family? Right now Yi Shan was uncertain. I don't even want to enter the palace anymore. I don't have the mood to do so. Just what is the emperor planning to do? Is he planning to get rid of Yi Hua alone? Or is he planning to get rid of Yi family? With a solemn look in his eyes, Yi Shan walked back. Did you see that? Yi family head is having a headache. How can he not have a headache? This Qian Yuqing is our Lingdu's #1 beauty, and in the past, she was also his daughter-in-law. Right now, seeing that his daughter-in-law actually married into the royal family, anyone would feel heartache for this matter. That's right, if only Yi Hua was still alive. Then he would be able to clearly see this woman's true colors. In the end, she still abandoned you and threw herself into the embrace of another man. What do you all know? Qian Yuqing has always liked Yi Hua. Who knows, maybe this woman is dangling the 9th prince as a spare tire. Scum. Brother, you are very particular. Towards this marriage, everyone had different opinions. Some people felt pity for Yi Hua. If they knew about this, they would definitely jump out from their coffins. Meanwhile, in Qian family, Qianyi had just woken up and was currently washing up. Family head, congratulations family head. Congratulations family head. A few servants could be seen kneeling towards Qianyi with a face full of excitement. Qianyi laughed lightly, then took out some gold coins from her sleeve and sprinkled them on the ground, just like feeding a dog. What is there to congratulate? Qianyi asked curiously. One of the servants said excitedly, Family head, the emperor has issued a decree. The 9th prince and the young lady's marriage has been approved. After hearing that, Qianyi immediately went into a daze. She immediately helped the servant up and asked carefully, Explain it clearly. You'll be rewarded if you speak clearly. Patriarch, the emperor has already announced the marriage between the young miss and the 9th prince to the world. The servant shouted excitedly as if he was the one marrying the young Mississippi. The pleasant surprise came too quickly. Qianyi felt a little dizzy. Ever since he became a supreme being, he had never felt so dizzy. In the end, he came today. Seeing that the family head was about to collapse, all the servants surrounded him and carefully supported him. Qianyi suddenly laughed and threw a bag of gold coins on the ground, causing the servants to frantically scramble for them. However, outside Qian Yuqing's room, a group of maids respectfully shouted, Congratulations, Mississippi. Qian Yuqing, who had just woken up, was very confused. Why did they come to congratulate her so early in the morning? Qian Yuqing opened the door and saw the maids kneeling on the ground. What's wrong? Young lady, the emperor has issued a decree. The marriage between the 9th prince and young lady will be held in 7 days. Hearing this news, Qian Yuqing did not dare to believe it. She revealed the same expression as her father, but their mentalities were completely different. Say that again. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. The maids repeated what they said just now. Qian Yuqing felt a little dizzy. Seeing that the young miss looked like she was about to faint from happiness, the maids immediately went up to support her. The emperor has actually issued a decree. How is this possible? Could it be that the imperial cloud is begging the emperor? That must be the case. Could it be that the emperor doesn't care about anything? Just what are these people thinking? I am a married woman, and there are still so many people who want to marry me. They must all be crazy. Qian Yuqing directly walked into the room and closed the door. All the maids were very puzzled. Why is the young miss angry? Such a good thing. If it were me, I would definitely faint from happiness. At this moment, Qianyi walked over and took out a bag of gold coins and threw it on the ground. The maids still frantically scrambled for the gold coins. Yuqing, father is coming in. Qianyi knocked on the door, then walked into the room. Right now, Qian Yuqing was lying on the bed and crying softly. When it really happened, Qian Yuqing felt very helpless. She really wanted to talk to Yi Hua and ask Yi Hua to help her, but she was already at her limit. It was so hard, so tiring. Within Yi family, Yi Hua woke up. His mood today was pretty good. After all, I know who my mother is. When the time comes, I just have to find out the cause of my death, and find out who exactly was the one who killed me. I, the Supreme Overlord, have been exterminated twice in a row. Is it a problem with human nature? Or is it a problem with being a person? Or is it a problem with my personality? Will there be a third extermination? If there really is such an awesome person, I, the Supreme Overlord, will be very happy. I hope that awesome person will quickly come out and compete with me. Yi Hua, who was in a pretty good mood, changed his hairstyle, and even the clothes that he was wearing changed as well. Yi Hua, who was in a pretty good mood, changed his hairstyle today, and even the clothes that he was wearing were changed as well. Yihua stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself. This hairstyle is still very tasteful. I look just too handsome. I really don't know how Qian Yuqing managed to chase after me in the past. I really let her take advantage of me. Wait, all of the women that I was with, all of them were only able to become my women because they were extremely lucky. I, the Supreme Overlord, am still too outstanding. I can't even hide myself anymore. Yihua opened the door. The air outside was very good, and the air outside was very good. As for the house that was destroyed yesterday, Yi Shan repaired it with a single spell. To an overlord it was very easy. Yihua decided to go out and take a walk. Since I am Yihua, I should let everyone know that I am back. I, the Supreme Overlord, am back. When the time comes, let's see what kind of expression that emperor will have. I am really curious. Within Yi family's servants, there were a lot of old servants. When they saw Yihua, who was dressed in a black robe, they were all stupefied. That expression, that action, they are simply exactly the same as Yihua. Yihua felt that the gazes of these people were very interesting and very surprised. This is exactly the feeling that I wanted. Big brother. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind Yihua. Yihua turned around to take a look. So it was that squinty-eyed guy. I don't even know what his name is. The squinty-eyed guy was naturally Yi Liangkai. When he saw his big brother's makeup today, he was even more certain that if this isn't Big Brother, then this is a ghost. What? Yihua asked faintly. Listening to this tone, could it be that this isn't Big Brother? This person is still that ice-cold, exactly the same as before. If this person is a scammer, then this person is definitely Big Brother's soul. After all, Big Brother's every word and every sentence is very particular, and no one is able to learn it. That Yi Juetian learned it for over 100 years, yet he still wasn't able to learn it. End of this chapter. Chapter 990. Nothing, Yi Liangkai said softly. Yihua took a look at Yi Liangkai, and the latter shrunk back, appearing to be very afraid. This big brother had really changed. In the past, although his gaze was cold, there was still a trace of kinship in it. But now, there was no kinship in the coldness, only a trace of killing intent. Yihua didn't pay attention to him, turned around, and walked towards the entrance of Yi family. The attitude he displayed was like the boss of Yi family. Why did Yihua want to go out early in the morning? The reason was actually very simple. He wanted to go out and see what breakfast was available. After all, it was the god's realm, so the breakfast should be rich and varied. Moreover, other than eating breakfast, he also needed to let others know that he had returned. Take it as revenge for my past self. Yihua stood in front of Yihua's house, and the guards on both sides were still looking at Yihua with an astonished gaze. It felt so unreal. Yihua slowly walked down the stairs, and his outfit quickly attracted everyone's attention. A man who saw Yihua was already shocked to the point that he was speechless. This is... A woman who was holding her child's hand looked at Yihua, who was slowly walking over. Back then I was still young, but now I have become the mother of my child. Oh my God! I saw a ghost. Ah. This is Yihua. It can't be that Yi Juetian is impersonating him, right? One of the men asked doubtfully. However, he was quickly refuted by a group of people. For Yi Juetian to have this kind of expression, he can't even compare to Yi Huajun. That's right, this is the real Yi Huajun. Aren't you curious whether this is a human or a ghost? The group of girls rolled their eyes. Such a handsome guy. Even if he's a ghost, I'd still recognize him. The news of Yihua appearing on the streets quickly spread throughout the entire spirit city. Some people were simply running around and shouting at the top of their lungs. What, Yihua is back? Everyone, quickly come and take a look. Towards this kind of situation, Yihua appeared to be very calm and collected. This is just a small scene, and I, the Supreme Overlord, don't put it in my eyes at all. As for these women, they were no different from those women on earth. When they saw me, they wanted to offer their filthy bodies to me. They were really shameless. Am I that kind of man? However, the breakfast in this spirit capital is still nothing much. I still feel that the breakfast on earth is delicious enough. Suddenly, he wanted to eat fried dough sticks and porridge. The combination of the two was a perfect match. Let's try the meat buns here first. They look pretty good. Yi Hua could be seen walking towards a meat bun shop. And when the boss saw Yi Hua walking over, his face lit up. Yi Huajun, you're finally back. Xiao Ai, hurry up and prepare some meat buns for Yi Huajun. The uncle selling meat buns said excitedly. This caused Yi Hua to be very puzzled. Your expression is a bit too exaggerated. Therefore, Yi Hua waited quietly and did not have any reaction. The boss didn't seem to know what to say. Yi Hua took the 2 meat buns from the middle-aged woman and asked faintly, "How much is it?" Yi Huajun, there's no need for money. If it wasn't for you, Xiao Ai and I would have been chased out of spirit capital long ago. After listening to what Yi Hua said, Yi Hua finally understood. It seems like in the past, I have always been a good person and doing good deeds. However, I, the Supreme Overlord, will never owe money when I eat. Putting things on credit is not my character. How much is it? Yi Hua asked again, and this time, his tone was a bit impatient. The boss was shocked and hurriedly said, "Even if it's me, Yi Huajun." Yi Hua took out 2 gold coins and placed it on the table, then left. Gold coins should be the universal currency. Using 2 gold coins to exchange for 2 meat buns. Who else is more extravagant than me? If you're not convinced, then feel free to argue. Following Yi Hua's reappearance on the street seemed to be surging with people. Everyone came to watch the show, causing Yi Hua to feel very awkward. They looked extremely similar to those idol-chasing people, that kind of passionate and fanatical gaze. As if with just a word from me, they would abandon their lives. In the past, Yi Hua was able to bluff these commoners into becoming obedient. I'm afraid that I'm doing this to build a good foundation for myself to become an emperor. Thinking up to here, the corner of Yi Hua's mouth slightly arced up. Interesting. You have concealed yourself quite deeply. I saw through you with just a single look. Unfortunately, I was schemed against by someone else. If not, I'm afraid that you would have become an emperor by now. Not bad. I thought that you were a good person. But it turns out that your schemes aren't just ordinary. To win over the hearts of the people, to prepare to rebel against the heavens. If I didn't guess wrongly, this fellow was clearly getting married with Qian Yuqing on that day, but before the wedding ceremony was over, he ran out to fight. What kind of big matter caused him to not even have the mood to get married? From what I deduced, this fellow was precisely waiting for this opportunity, because he knew that these people had already started to make their moves. If he was able to survive, he would have an excuse to overthrow the emperor. At that time, all of the commoners would be cheering for Yi Hua. What a pity, he was still too young and was killed. If he wasn't killed, I wouldn't have appeared. Isn't it just that he wants to become an emperor? Let me think of a way. It might really be possible. Are you Yi Huajun? A little girl could be seen standing in front of Yi Hua. The little girl raised her head and asked curiously. Yi Hua lowered his head and looked at the little girl, and discovered that the little girl looked a bit similar to Ali when she was young. Thus Yi Hua asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "Yi Huajun, follow me." The little girl seemed to be very anxious as she pulled Yi Hua and ran. Yi Hua was helpless. After all, my identity right now is the good Yi Hua who loves his people. Thus, Yi Hua temporarily put away his slightly ferocious side. Very quickly, Yi Hua was pulled to the side of the notice board. Right now, everyone was looking at Yi Hua's expression. They were very curious as to what would happen if Yi Hua saw his woman getting married to someone else. This spirit city would probably tremble 3 times. Yi Hua indeed saw it, and his pair of eyes gradually narrowed. This Qian Yuqing, to think that she said that she was infatuated with me. But it turns out that she was rushing back to get married. Hee. This is simply a joke. Everyone saw that Yi Hua's expression gradually changed, and his expression became darker and darker. Big brother. Big brother. Why did you run out? Yi Juetian finally found his big brother. This morning, when he came out, he saw the news that his sister-in-law was going to get married. Thus, he became anxious and hurriedly ran back. He discovered that his big brother wasn't at home. And only after he went out did he find out that his big brother had actually run out to take a stroll. If Big Brother were to find out that his sister-in-law was going to get married to the royal family, wouldn't he go crazy? Facing Yi Juetian's words, everyone once again confirmed that this was indeed Yi Hua. However, Yi Juetian's words at the end were a bit strange. It was as if Yi Hua was a lunatic and suddenly ran out. Yi Hua turned around and looked at Yi Juetian coldly. The latter was given a fright. As expected, he got angry. Yi Hua walked towards Yi Juetian and stood in front of Yi Juetian, then stretched out his hand and poked Yi Juetian's chest. This is the good woman that you guys are talking about. Sorry, I went out to give New Year greetings today. End of this chapter. Chapter 991. After saying that, he left without looking back. He was in a bad mood. It was as if his pet was disobedient and went to eat other people's meat. What was the point of having such a pet? It was already benevolent of me to not directly cut it off. Big Brother, wait a minute. Yi Juetian hurriedly chased after him. It seemed like something had happened. Big Brother had just returned and the Emperor had already issued an edict. This was obviously directed at Big Brother. In the crowd, some men quietly left and rushed back to the palace to report the news. With a cold expression on his face, Yi Hua walked towards Yi family. Meanwhile, Yi Juetian hurriedly chased after Yi Hua and explained, Big Brother, don't be fooled, big sister-in-law is sincere towards you. Sincere? The imperial board has already been posted out. Do you think it's sincere? Yi Hua said coldly. Big Brother, think about it. You've just come back and the emperor has already issued an edict. There are many suspicious points in this. I guess he wants you to fight with sister-in-law. Don't be fooled. Yi Juetian was really anxious. Yesterday, he was still thinking that his big brother and sister-in-law were finally together. He didn't expect things to change so quickly. Yi Hua sneered, then said in disdain, Then this emperor has successfully fooled me. Big Brother. Yi Juetian shouted helplessly. He clearly knew that it was a trap, yet he still had to act like this. Big Brother, you're the emperor of the Kangluo continent. Don't you know about such a scheme? There's no need to say anymore. I don't have such a woman. Yi Hua said coldly. I decided to tell this matter to my mother, and not to mention this Qian Yuqing anymore in the future. After walking into Yi family, Yi Hua directly walked towards his mother's room, and Yi Juetian followed closely behind him. Today Lu Jing was different from usual. She sat outside the courtyard and played the zither. Her complexion was also very good, which meant that she was in a good mood. However, when Lu Jing saw her son walking in with a gloomy face, she frowned. Her youngest son followed closely behind her with a melancholic expression. It seemed like something had happened. Yi Hua stood in front of Lu Jing. Meanwhile, Yi Juetian respectfully shouted out, Mother. Yi Hua, what's wrong? Lu Jing nodded her head and asked Yi Hua. Yi Hua said gravely, In the future, don't mention Qian Yuqing in front of me. And don't even think about marrying her. Impossible. Hearing Yi Hua's words, Lu Jing was startled. Yi Hua, what happened? Don't get too excited. Mother, His Majesty has already given the decree to betroth sister-in-law to the 9th prince. Yi Juetian added, he was also very helpless. What? Lu Jing exclaimed. Her son had just returned, and the emperor had already made such a move. It really caught her off guard. It seemed like his son was jealous. He said he didn't like it, so what was the point of being jealous now? Lu Jing held on to Yi Hua's hand and sat down, then said tenderly, Yi Hua, you must remain calm at a time like this. This is definitely not Yuqing's idea, this is the emperor's plan. Whether it's a scheme or not, this is my stance. Yi Hua said indifferently. Yi Hua seemed to have lost his rationality a bit. This was different from the Yi Hua in the past. In the past, no matter what happened, Yi Hua would not panic. Even if he had a conflict with Qingya, he would not panic. But today, he looked like he was going to get a divorce and did not even give him a chance to explain. He even showed a very impulsive look, which was not up to standard. When Lu Jing saw her son's unyielding attitude, she persuaded, I know Yuqing. She would never do anything to let you down. At this point, the two of you should get through this together. I'm not interested in that. I'm going back to rest. Yihua said faintly, then turned around and left. Yihua. Lu Jing stood up and called out to Yihua. However, Yihua was the one who left. Seeing Yihua leave angrily, Lu Jing let out a light sigh. Little Tian, your big brother is currently in a fit of anger. Don't tell Yuqing about this, okay? And mother, I understand. Of course, Yi Juetian knew what his mother meant. She was afraid that his big brother would say something hurtful. After all, sister-in-law must be in a lot of pain now. If she was hurt by big brother and couldn't figure it out, what would happen? Right now, Yi Juetian was following behind Yihua. Even if Yihua were to walk into the house, Yi Juetian would still follow after Yihua. However, towards such a situation, Yihua did not stop them. However, in the Qian family, Qian Yuqing was already done grieving. Qianyi comforted her for a long time but to no avail, so she left. Miss, your health is important. You should eat something. A maid standing on the side said respectfully. Qian Yuqing hadn't eaten anything yet, but it didn't matter to the gods. Qian Yuqing sat on the bed in a daze, thinking about how to get rid of this engagement. Miss. The maid seemed like she wanted to say something, but she was afraid. Qian Yuqing came back to her senses and said faintly, if you have something to say, just say it. It's like this, miss. I heard from those servants that Yihua came back today. The maid lowered her head and said, Yihua came back. Qian Yuqing didn't react for a moment. Yes, miss, a lot of people saw him on the streets today. Qian Yuqing finally reacted and immediately stood up, then asked excitedly, Yihua came back? Yes, miss. Looking at the smiling expression on the miss's face, the maid was a bit worried. Qian Yuqing was overjoyed. Yihua really came back. This is great. Yihua still likes me. This bad fellow. I even hugged him that day, and he still placed me back to where I was. I have never seen such a stupid man before. Under normal circumstances, at that time, I should have carried him into the house, and then, thinking about those embarrassing things, Qian Yuqing's face became a bit red. What am I thinking about? I really have to give it to him. Miss. The maid couldn't help but ask. Miss, you can't have gotten sick, right? Qian Yuqing hurriedly retracted her happy smile. Leave it here. You can go out first. All right, miss. The maid said respectfully. After the maid left, Qian Yuqing ate a bit of the food, then let the maid carry the food out, then went to the secret passage. Of course, she was going to look for Yihua. Inside Yihua's room, the two brothers were currently drinking and playing. To be more precise, Yi Juetian was accompanying his big brother to drink. Who was the one who suggested drinking? Of course, it was Yihua who suggested it, just like how he himself was unhappy. Big brother, sister-in-law is a good woman, don't misunderstand her. Yi Juetian still couldn't help but advise. Very much like love. Yihua snorted coldly. Yi Juetian was confused. What does this mean? The two of them drank until their faces and ears were red, and the smell of alcohol filled the room. However, at this moment, the floor suddenly made a sound, and the two brothers immediately looked over. A beautiful woman could be seen crawling out from the secret passage. Qian Yuqing finally saw Yihua. He really came. All of this is real. This is great. Tears of joy could be seen flowing down Qian Yuqing's face as she ran towards Yihua, seemingly wanting to give Yihua a big hug. However, Yihua's face sunk as he stretched out his hand and pushed Qian Yuqing away. Scram! End of this chapter. Chapter 992. Qian Yuqing, who was caught off guard, was pushed down. Yi Juetian was stupefied. Big brother. Isn't this too merciless? Qian Yuqing was stupefied as well. Yihua actually pushed me away, and even said, scram. Yihua's face did not have any unnecessary expression, as if the person who was pushed down just now was an enemy, and he did not have any feeling of shame at all. Yi Juetian was the first to react, and he hurriedly walked to the front of Qian Yuqing. Sister-in-law, are you all right? Right now. Qian Yuqing was very confused. It has been 1,000 years since we last met, and now that we finally met again, she was pushed away by Yihua fiercely. I have imagined many scenes of us meeting each other, but I have never imagined such a scene. Yihua did not pay attention to Qian Yuqing, who was at the side, and silently looked at the cup of water, seemingly thinking about something. Yi Juetian helped Qian Yuqing up, and he did not know what to say. In the end, he still said in a low voice, "Sister-in-law, big brother knew about it. That's why he got angry." This explanation was still very useful. At least it let Qian Yuqing know why Yihua got angry. So it was because of marriage. Qian Yuqing lightly walked to Yihua's back and looked at this familiar back view. It was exactly the same as before. There was no change at all. However, right now when she really saw it, she did not know what to say anymore. Her mood was exceptionally agitated, nervous, hesitant, and all sorts of other emotions were added together. "Yihua, it is not what you think. I did not do anything to let you down. I did not let anyone else touch me." In order to explain clearly, Qian Yuqing threw caution to the wind. Men naturally did not wish for their women to be touched by other men. "It has nothing to do with me," Yihua said coldly. However, this coldness was just like a sharp blade that was chopping onto Qian Yuqing's heart. Yi Juetian hurriedly said, "Big brother, this is definitely the emperor's plot. He knew that you had returned, and thus he was afraid, and thus wanted to use this kind of method to stimulate you." Qian Yuqing stood behind Yihua, feeling wronged. "I didn't expect that this kind of misunderstanding would occur during our first meeting. Don't say so much. Just go and marry whoever you want to marry. Do as you wish." After hearing that, Qian Yuqing bit onto her lips tightly, and tears flowed down her cheeks uncontrollably. "After so many years of hard work, at this moment, I actually obtained this kind of ending. Big brother, how can you say that about sister-in-law? Eldest sister-in-law has done so many things for mother. If it wasn't for eldest sister-in-law, mother wouldn't have been able to live for so long. Even if eldest sister-in-law is going to marry into the imperial family, it's also for mother. Why can't you understand eldest sister-in-law's bitter conscience?" Why did Yi Juetian feel that his big brother was still the same as before? Yihua's tone was still indifferent. "Mother's problem. I am able to solve it myself. There is no need for others to do it for me. Big brother, sister-in-law is one of us. How can she be someone else?" Yi Juetian was very confused. Why did he have to say such hurtful words? Qian Yuqing lightly pressed onto Yihua's arm. "Yihua, Yuqing is really not that kind of woman." Yihua struggled away from Qian Yuqing's hand. "What kind of woman you are, it has nothing to do with me now. I think I have already said it very clearly. I won't marry him. I will listen to everything you say, okay?" Qian Yuqing begged. As long as Yihua didn't get angry, she was willing to do anything. Yihua said gravely, "Qian Yuqing, there is no relationship between you and me anymore. You don't need to listen to me, and I don't want to see you. Scram." Hearing that Yihua told her to scram again, Qian Yuqing's tears flowed even more fiercely. Why did it turn out like this? Qian Yuqing held onto her face and left through the secret passage. Her heart was completely broken by Yihua. Yi Juetian looked at his big brother, then looked at his sister-in-law who was leaving. He didn't know who he should persuade. Yesterday, they had clearly agreed that big brother and sister-in-law were going to be together again and continue their former fate. However, right now, where is there even a need to continue their former fate? There is basically no such thing. However, right at this moment, Yi Chen's voice rang out from outside. "Big brother, His Majesty has sent a decree." Yihua immediately stood up and opened the door. Yi Chen, who was standing outside, immediately took a step back and slightly lowered his head, feeling very fearful. "Right now, it is better for me not to provoke big brother, lest I end up like my father, being tossed around by big brother. Although it doesn't hurt, my face hurts a lot." Yihua didn't say anything and walked towards the main hall. Yi Chen took a look at Yi Juetian, who was in the main hall, then hurriedly followed after Yihua. Yi Juetian hurriedly followed after Yihua. The emperor is truly anxious to think of ways to get rid of big brother right now. Furthermore, he is going to start from big sister-in-law first. As expected of the emperor. Arriving at the main hall, Yihua saw Yishan, his mother Lejing, and a few brothers. Of course, there was also their mother. Compared to his mother, they were indeed much more mature. His mother seemed to have aged a lot, but the reason for this was because she missed her main body too much. In the future, I will slowly nurse my body back to health. When Yi Shan saw Yi Hua walking over, he didn't have a good expression on his face. As for the two women who were standing at the side, the plump one was called Ren Yu. She was Yi Chen and Yi Yuanqing's birth mother. The other one was rather skinny, but she didn't lose her beauty. After all, she was Yi Shan's woman, and Yi Shan's standards were also very high. She was called Su Peiyu. She was Yi Liangkai and Yi Zhi's birth mother. When the two saw Yi Hua's appearance, they were a bit in disbelief. Last night, Yi family had been in an uproar, scaring them to the point that they couldn't sleep well. This morning, they heard that Yi Hua had returned. Didn't he die? Why did he return? Now that he has returned, what kind of status does my son have? Why did he return? Why? It seems like other than Lu Jing and Yi Juetian, everyone in Yi family did not wish for Yi Hua to return. There was a eunuch standing in the main hall, and right now he was sizing up Yi Hua. As the eunuch that served the emperor, he had to have a pair of eyes that looked at people. How could he let him forget that back then? Yi Hua was the rising star of spiritual city, and even the emperor had to welcome him with a smile. However, Yi Hua's current expression was exactly the same as back then. There wasn't any difference at all. The eunuch felt that this shouldn't be fake. This kind of expression and temperament wasn't something that anyone could imitate. Just take this Yi Juetian for example. Even if he wanted to imitate Yi Hua, he wouldn't be able to imitate Yi Hua at all. Prince Yi, the eunuch shouted towards Yi Hua. Yi Hua looked at this transvestite just like that, and he really wished that he could slap that high-pitched duck's voice to death. Towards how the eunuch addressed him, everyone in Yi family was very surprised. Prince. This was a very awesome title. To be able to become a prince, that meant that one would be at the same level as the emperor's relative. It seems like the emperor still fulfilled the promise he made back then, and really conferred the title of prince to Yi Hua. How could the emperor not acknowledge it? After all, he had already said it in front of so many people. If he were to deny it now, wouldn't he be laughed at by others? He couldn't afford to lose face like this. The eunuch looked at Yi Hua's expression. As expected, it is the same as back then. Chapter 993. When His Majesty learned that Prince Yi had survived the calamity, he was overjoyed and said that Prince Yi would return sooner or later. Sure enough, His Majesty has issued an edict to invite Prince Yi to a banquet tonight for the whole country to celebrate. After the eunuch finished speaking, he waited for Yi Hua to say some words of thanks. However, Yi Hua remained standing there without moving, and there wasn't any expression on his face at all. I reckon that the news of the marriage was released this morning. His Majesty's hand is truly brilliant. Yi Hua was angered to the point that his expression changed, and he didn't even know what to say anymore. Seeing that Yi Hua did not move, Yi Shan hurriedly kneeled down and thanked Yi Hua. When Yi Shan knelt down, everyone else hurriedly knelt down as well. Of course, Yi Hua was the only exception. I don't even kneel to the heavens, so why would I kneel to a eunuch? What kind of joke was this? Even if the emperor comes, I won't give a damn about him. Unfilial son. Why aren't you kneeling down and thanking me? Yi Shan wished that he could slap Yi Hua to death. This Yi family is going to perish in Yi Hua's hands sooner or later. Yi Hua lowered his head and looked towards his biological father, and the latter immediately turned his head away. This unfilial son of mine is so awesome now, to actually hit me just because I don't get along with him. He would definitely be struck by lightning in the future. I curse you, unfilial son. At this time, the eunuch smiled and said, Lord Yi, His Majesty has long said that Prince Yi doesn't need to salute. Indeed, after Yi Hua's death, the emperor had said such words. At this moment, Yi Shan was speechless. This time, the emperor obviously wants to get rid of Yi Hua. I can only hope that when the time comes, the entire Yi family will not be implicated. He was a jinx who would bring harm to people wherever he went. Prince Yi, I shall not disturb you any further. The eunuch bowed slightly and smiled, before leaving the Yi clan. Yi Hua didn't expect that the emperor was so anxious to actually take action so quickly. The Yi Hua of the past was so hateful. After her father-in-law left, Lu Jing said softly, Yi Hua, come with mother. Mother has something to tell you. Yihua nodded his head, then followed his mother and walked out of the main hall. Yi Juetian hurriedly left the main hall as well. I belong to Big Brother's faction, and I don't fit in with them. Even if Big Brother peers through the sky, Little Brother will advance and retreat together with Big Brother. Husband, is he really Yihua? Rinyu asked in a low voice, appearing to be very worried. Yishan nodded and sat beside him. Su Peiyu served a pot of tea to Yishan. Isn't this Yihua dead? How did he come back to life? Su Peiyu asked in a low voice, feeling extremely puzzled. How would I know? Yishan shouted in a low voice. He was also very annoyed. Things were originally calm and peaceful, but now something had happened. Moreover, it was such a big matter. Just thinking about it made his blood boil. Seeing that their husband was a little angry, Renyu and Su Peiyu stopped talking. Husband, when will Yuanqing come back? Renyu asked. With such a change in the family, he should come back to take a look. Yishan sipped his tea. Yuanqing should be able to rush back in the afternoon. When Yi Chun heard that his second sister was returning, he felt somewhat happy in his heart. He had not seen his second sister for more than 10 years already. After all, Yi Yuanqing and Yi Chun were siblings. Naturally, they had a good relationship. Right now, Yi Yuanqing could be considered to be the highest-ranking official in Yi family. She was also the only female general of spiritual capital. She was always fighting outside and was a tough woman. Meanwhile, the relationship between Yi Yuanqing and Yi Hua was just average. It wasn't very good, but it wasn't very bad either. Yi Yuanqing's relationship with Yi Hua was not like the other brothers who were all jealous of Yi Hua's excellence. Yi Yuanqing wanted to prove that he was more outstanding than his big brother, and was able to carry the banner of Yi family. On the other side, Lu Jing brought Yi Hua to her own courtyard. Little Tian, I want to talk to your big brother. Yi Juetian nodded his head gloomily. Right now, I am not even allowed to listen to my big brother's words. The mother and son walked to a stone table at the side. Yi Hua sit. Yi Hua slowly sat down, and Lu Jing poured 2 cups of tea for him. Lu Jing had thought about it carefully just now and decided to give her son a reminder. Regardless of whether her son was willing to listen or not, this was a reminder that a mother should give. Yi Hua, you should know that His Majesty is very biased against you. In the past, when something happened to you, it is very likely that the emperor arranged it. Lu Jing had long felt that the matter back then wasn't simple, but she wasn't sure. However, since the emperor announced the marriage announcement in the morning, it is very likely that it was done by him. Yi Hua did not say anything after hearing what Lu Jing said. Even without Lu Jing saying anything, he had already thought of this point. Furthermore, in the past, Yi Hua wanted to usurp the throne. Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, don't know about it? Not only did you deceive everyone, you even deceived a foolish young lady to love you without any regrets. I reckon that Qian Yuqing is also a chess piece in your hands, right? Otherwise, on the day of your wedding, before the wedding ceremony even ended, you already wanted to send your head to someone else. If it is true love, then the ceremony should have already ended, right? If that is the case, the emperor's eyesight is still very bright. If that is the case, doesn't that mean that I, the Supreme Overlord, am a scapegoat? I, the Supreme Overlord. Thinking about it, this is indeed the case. Yi Hua, when you returned last night, that sky-bearing empire definitely told the news to the emperor. The emperor announced the marriage announcement early in the morning. It is impossible for you to not know the reason behind it, right? The emperor is just looking for an excuse to continue getting rid of you. The more Lu Jing spoke, the more scared she became. Accompanying a monarch is like accompanying a tiger. This sentence is not wrong. When the emperor is happy, you are a popular person, but when the emperor is angry, you are a dead person. A person's life and death is in the hands of the emperor, and the emperor can do whatever he wants to do. Tonight, the emperor is hosting a banquet. No matter how angry you are, do not get angry. If you beat up Yishan, no one will say anything, but if you beat up a member of the royal family, then it will be troublesome. In short, do not give the emperor an excuse to kill you. Do you understand? Lu Jing advised painstakingly. She felt that Yi Hua's appearance was not a good thing. If I knew this would happen, I would have let Yihua be an emperor and not interfere with the matters of the higher-ups. After hearing that, Yihua nodded his head. If I, the supreme overlord, am unable to even deduce this point, then what am I supposed to be doing? Regarding Yuqing's matter, you don't have to take it to heart, it is all the emperor's doing. Yihua did not say anything. Maintaining silence was the glorious tradition of the Golden family. Alright, that is all that mother has to say. Prepare for the banquet properly, mother will prepare supper and wait for you to return. Lu Jing held onto her son's hand and said with a slight smile. Her gaze was filled with doting. This kind of gaze, Yihua would never get tired of it because this kind of gaze has never appeared before. Not even Qingya and Donghuang Baiji have this kind of feeling. In the entire 3,000 worlds, only mother alone is able to make me feel a different kind of warmth. Seems like I have come to the right place this time. Yihua walked out of the courtyard, and Yi Juetian, who was standing at the side, hurriedly chased after Yihua. Big brother, what did mother say? She just told me to be careful. Yihua said faintly. Big brother, you have to be careful. You also have to go and comfort sister-in-law. Yihua did not say anything and walked towards his room. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.